Yeah, let me know. I can move too. I'm not like married to the seat, or I can do anything. If the hat's not good, I can go to a hat, whatever you want.
Definitely a hat on.
Yeah?
I need you with a hat on.
Love it.
If I were to have a podcast.
If I were to have a podcast.
How are you going to start this, Gerry?
Oh, am I going to start this?
Yeah. How are you going to start this, Daly?
How am I going to start this?
Yeah, how are you going to start this?
I'm just going to talk about every illegal thing I did. I feel like that's good for you guys. And just
I think
post
that
and
would
tag
be
the cops who arrested me.
Preferred, yeah. They're all downstairs.
Oh, they're
Wait,
here. Oh,
yeah.
this is a sting
It
operation.
is a sting. All right, we got him,
Yes,
boys.
he is down
Yeah,
there.
he is down there. just one guy in a
Oh, you only
cop
got one of
outfit.
them?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
No, just Sting, the artist.
Oh, Sting's down
Yes.
there. I love the police.
See? There you go.
Look at that. Also, I am excited for today's podcast. Gerry and I are here with somebody very special and very handsome. So coming at you is Mr. Worldwide, or 978-617.
You got
identify as.
617.
Yeah, 617, I figured. But why don't you introduce yourself and who you are?
Okay. Brian Daly, I'm sure you know that because you hit me up and I'm sure you got my contact information. But born and raised in Boston, went to school in Boston doing film production and kind of screwed around for a couple of years, landed in a really great job. And thankfully, I get to keep in touch with people from school like Keslak here. And here we are today, just kind of a dude who likes watching sports and got lucky with a career.
Nice. I will say right away, you did not get lucky.
Oh, thanks.
I will say that. I don't believe in luck. I think that you are someone that, if any opportunity has fallen into your lap, you have taken advantage of it, in my opinion. Anything that I've seen you do. You make it all seem like it's luck, but it's not. There's a brain up there, no matter what Gerry says. Yeah.
Hey, Jerry's a believer. He
is.
texted me before I got here. He's like, don't listen to what Mike says. Don't let him get under your skin.
Not
I
a fucking
believe
word.
in you.
Yeah.
Not a word.
I know. Yeah. That's probably the right thing to do. Yeah. You should do that with every single guest that comes on here.
Yeah, so shut up. I'm running this thing.
Okay.
So, Daly, if you were to have a podcast, what would it be?
If I were to have a podcast, what would it be? I feel like everybody has thought of this because everybody listens to podcasts now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's just like my Leo energy, but anytime I hear a podcast, I'm like, oh, if I had that set up, I would do this. So I thought of this one time, and it's a whole format. So every podcast I listen to has a guest, and every time it's just like chronological order. Start at the beginning, make your way to the end. What I think would be cool for a visual podcast is have a dartboard on a wall, and the first thing you do, it's broken up into thirds, like a peace sign. And each part says beginning, middle, end. And then you have the guest throw a dart right at it. And if it lands in middle, you just start in the middle. So it's just like, all right, so when you were in it, what were you thinking? You start at the end, you say, how did that end? I think it'd be a cool format to do that. And I would specifically like to interview skateboarders because they're so awkward. They're weird, dude. They're great. They're like artists. They're like brilliant minds, and it's so cool to make them like uncomfortable. So if I would have a podcast, I'd bring skaters on, and I would do like a Between Two Ferns style, like day in the life interview of skaters and make them feel uncomfortable, but have it be charming.
Oh,
nice.
Oddly
like
specific. I thought of this once.
I thought about this one time. I like that idea. That's really cool. That's creative. What made you think about was it just trying to come up with something different with the whole piece, like the 3-tiered thing?
Yeah, kind of. Because every time, all the podcasts now are like visual podcasts. You're seeing people sit around. You're talking. It makes, yes, here we are. You're seeing people sit around doing their thing. It's great. And I think just adding some kind of like game to something, nobody's really doing that unless I'm missing something here. But nobody's really adding like sort of like an action move at the beginning. And like, what do we watch on the internet? Videos where action's taking place a lot. So if you start with action, and it throws a curveball for the guys. So if you get a guest on there and you could really resonate with them and you already deep dive what they're into, you could really get some interesting stuff that they probably didn't even know they were going to be talking about if you start it somewhere other than the beginning. But if they do land at the beginning, once they're done talking about the beginning, they start segueing, bring the dart back, and it breaks it up into thirds. So like it's almost like 3 chapters, so you know how long it's going to be. It's just seems like a cool way to get somebody's story out. Like, don't let them start at the beginning because they've told the story before. If it's interesting enough to be on a podcast, have them start in the middle and you'll get a different aspect of the story. It's a unique way of getting the story out, I guess.
Nice.
That is cool.
I like that.
It's definitely different. Yeah,
I do like that. So we have a game prepared for you.
Yes.
It's fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
Spin the ball.
Yeah, spin the bottle. Yeah, spin the bottle. Bring out the bottle, Gerry. Yeah, fuck, marry, kill. Me, Gerry, Dan, go.
Oh, man, I don't know Dan that well. Sorry, Dan. I mean, if you're watching this, kill Dan. Sorry. Here's a great guy. Looks like a good dude. I don't even know Gerry that well, but I see you on the story so much. And whenever I see him in person, I feel like I know him. Just I see him on social media through your guys' page. I'm going to fuck Dan. I mean, fuck Gerry.
Yeah.
Kill Dan. Caslack.
All right.
I got a ring prepared and everything. So
good.
kill
All right,
Dan.
Fuck me.
Fuck Gerry. It's going to be one hell of a night. And marry Keselak. I think he's stable. I think he makes everyone feel super comfy. Not that you don't, but I've got longevity with Mike Keselak. First day I met him, I'm like, I like this guy. He's kind of a chirper, but a nice chirper, you know?
I'll take that. Well, I have a question for you.
I would. That'd be a big yes. It'd be an
That would
elope.
be the easiest yes of your life. Yeah. You'd have to talk with Kim, though. I think that would be a conversation that you
Don't
would
worry.
have to have.
We'll make it work.
Yeah,
I also have a question for you, just so I'm prepared tonight. Like, tell me when to stop.
You better go more. You're going to have to go out of frame. Yeah, that's fully soft.
All right. I've had bigger.
Oh, beautiful. Then we're in for it.
It was that big, but like pencil thin?
Oh,
or like
we're
we're
talking
talking can?
Spaghetti.
Like mechanical pencil thin,
Mechanical-
like slightly
okay.
more thin than like a number 2 pencil.
All right.
It's just a little like,
So like a roto-rooter.
kind of like a pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
Minus the fuzz.
Snake me.
Yeah. Dick size.
I'm sure that's what you wanted to talk about. As soon as you got on here.
I did.
That was in his rider. He's like, listen, I want green M&Ms and I want to talk about my cack.
And for more, subscribe to my OnlyFans. Yeah.
Yeah, for more. Link in the description. Subscribe, like, comment. So to navigate back. So one of the things that you mentioned is that you would want to have skaters on the podcast that you would have. Why? Why would you want to have skaters?
I think so. I've been a part of the skate community in Boston since I was in high school. A lot of the same guys have been amongst that for years, and they're all kind of like awkward. I sort of felt like the odd man out back in the day. I'm like, am I the weirdo, or am I not cool enough to be a part of this? Then I just realized that I hate using this word, and you could edit this out if you want, but I feel like a lot of skaters are like slightly like autistic. I could word that differently if you want. But they get weird. Like if you start talking to them, even with eye contact, like they get a little weird because they're artists. Like they're very, very much artists, just like anybody who would paint would be. When skaters are trying to do a trick, they want it to be perfect. They even will like wear a certain outfit that like goes with like the shot, because all skaters like to film. Skaters, they film. Like it's just a thing. Some are very core to the point.
And is that how you got into film?
Definitely. Oh yeah, no question. If I didn't get into skating, I would have never like really been interested in like video editing or filming and stuff like that. And I think all these skaters have like a really brilliant mind. And like I love, now that I'm older and I'm in the scene and I'm who I am, I'm more like kind of like outspoken and more extroverted. It's kind of funny talking to these guys and making them feel comfortable by throwing them into a fish out of water situation. So yeah, it's just cool getting there, kind of like getting their energy out that they normally wouldn't be able to get out. I think it's a skill that you could do, is making uncomfortable people get a little more comfortable.
I love that. Yeah, I love that idea. I feel like that is a skill. That's a skill as it would be on your end as well. Because I feel like as being in media and film, like we were talking about this earlier off of the podcast, is about how important it is to set a proper atmosphere and to make sure that the guest or whoever you have is comfortable.
Absolutely. That's half the battle, really. Like you could be the best producer in the world, you could be the best at anything you're going to do, but if you're not making the customer or client or whoever you're working with like feel like totally confident in that you're going to do the job as good as you can, even if it doesn't come out half as good as like it could have, if they were having a good time while spending their money, then you've already won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the opportunities that you've had, right, that have come your way that you've taken advantage of with some of the different companies that you've worked for. What were some of the, are you okay to share any of the companies that you've worked for?
Oh yeah,
previously?
totally. Anything's cool.
Yeah. So what are some of the ones that everybody would realize or recognize? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I got my big start at Red Bull Media House. Like, if it wasn't for getting that job at Red Bull, I probably would have just kept doing what I was doing, which was working construction. Hardly. I was working at a lumber yard, delivering lumber. So I was like not using my degree, had no interest. I was like 21, 22. The years were starting to like add up. And then when I think I was 23, I was filming skate videos, and I worked in the warehouse at borrowlenses.com. Mm-hmm. Zero production needed to work there. Yeah. They weren't hiring people with a degree. You're pretty much boxing stuff up. But the cool thing about working at Borrow Lenses back then was you could take any of the gear home and like totally free. Yeah. So I started freelancing because of that. And then I started realizing I could just take the stuff home, like film me and my buddy skating with like high-end cameras and like anything. It was crazy. Like they would let you take home these like $20,000 lenses, like Cook lenses. And I'm like holding this thing and look at my boss who doesn't know anything about production either. Yeah. I'm like, I could take this. He's, yeah, just bring it back tomorrow. It's fine. I'm like, all right. So I'm putting like the nicest lenses on like my shit camera, like a 60D, not the worst camera, but like not the best camera. Yeah. And I started putting these crazy lenses on. I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And then I realized you could take camera bodies from that same place. So I started taking like really nice camera bodies, and I started getting back into like operating cameras again, but like not for money, like just filming my buddy skating in the driveway, doing nothing, like just screwing
with like
around.
$40,000 just filming your buddy skating in the driveway.
Dude, like more. Like, and it was crazy how lax they were about it.
Oh my
it was
God.
insane. So I would just be getting these like really, really high-end shots. And this is before you could shoot on like an iPhone at like 120 frames. So like shooting these like slow-mo, like weird vibey pieces just kind of got the eye of this kid that I went to high school with, who I didn't even know that well in high school. Yeah. But he was on Tosh.0, so he was kind of like this like enigma from Watertown, where I'm from.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, this kid's the man. And out of the blue, actually I bumped into him at a party. He was like visiting town. He worked at Red Bull. And I was at a party. I saw the mustache, this iconic like curly mustache. If he's watching this, he knows that I'm talking about him. I was like, that's the kid who works at Red Bull, who's on Tosh.0. Went up there, tried to talk to him. Felt like I vibed him out, to be honest with you. Yeah. And then like a few weeks later, I got a Facebook message from him being like, hey, there's a job opening at Red Bull to be the social media in-house producer. I feel like you'd be good at that. Do you want me to throw your name like in the hat for this? And I was like, yeah, like that sounds really cool. So, I mean, dude, it wasn't even an interview. Like the first job I got in these like bigger companies, it was me on the phone with my old boss, Mark. And that dude just didn't give a rat's ass. He was so cool, super chill. He's like a surfer kind of guy, right? Nice. And I get ready for the phone call. I'm like heart's beating.
Psyching yourself out.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna change my life if I get this job. It's like, am I ready to like kind of like sell myself here? Get on the phone. The dude's like, yeah, so like Raz gave me a really good rundown of what you're into and like your kind of background. And he says that your videos look good. So like, yeah, let's get you down here. I'm like, and I'm like, down here for an interview? Or he goes, like, you seem cool. Like if you get here before Halloween, like there's a really cool Halloween party at the office. I'm like, so I got the job? Goes, yeah, like definitely. Like we need someone to just like be chill in the office and make the athletes like, just be chill. I'm like, chill? Like, what is this? Like, I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. This is it? And then 2 weeks later, I'm packing my stuff, moving to LA, and I get in there, and sure enough, I was just the dude in the office with an iPhone who would go into the high performance gym and just like film little social media bits with like Olympic athletes, like Lindsey Vonn, like multi-time gold medalist in skiing, skateboarders like Ryan Sheckler, you name it, like NFL players. Jared Goff was one of their athletes. Ninja, he's a gamer. He's like big celebrity names. Wow. And I'm fresh off the boat, just pretty much going up to them when they're on the elliptical in the gym, being like, hey, did anybody tell you that I was coming? Most times it was a no. And my job was just to be like, to explain what we were doing, which is always like a silly little like this or that style content piece. And I just did that for a while. And then a few reorgs later, I ended up being the social media skate like producer guy. So I'd essentially go out and film with these pro skaters with my iPhone, stuff that I was doing with my friends for years. Yeah,
with $100,000 equipment, yeah.
Not even.
No, I know. But I'm saying back in the day, yeah.
I was
before you got the job at Red Bull.
Before Red Bull, I was shooting high quality stuff. I get to Red Bull, they equip me with the newest iPhone, which is probably an iPhone, I don't know, 8 then or whatever. And they're like, yeah, here you go. Just like have at it. Like Tori Pudwell's going to be meeting you at this skate spot. He knows you're coming. These huge names in skating, right?
Yeah.
So I would just meet up with these skaters, bring my phone, hang out, go get lunch, sometimes grab a beer after. And in the middle there, I would just film them skating. Occasionally they'd film a trick of me. It was just going street skating, something that I thought I was being a bum doing for like the better part of a decade. And I was on a salary at Red Bull doing it, just out in the streets filming skaters. Like
On an iPhone.
On an iPhone.
That's so crazy.
And just posting to the story, and everyone's like, this is best practice. Like, Brian Daly's really figured out like a good format here. And I'm like, format? I'm like, I'm going out street skating and drinking beers occasionally. This is no format. This is just having fun and making people feel normal. And then I saw how some of the other producers were doing it. And some of these people, I could just tell were just like, it's over-explaining. Yeah. And at the end of the day, these people are pro surfers, pro snowboarders, mountain bikers. They are doing one thing. All you got to do is show them that you know that world, you know that space, and be cool, be their buddy, and just film it on an iPhone like you're filming your friend. And then that was it. And I did that for a couple of years. It was about 5 years doing that. It was great.
That's crazy.
Nice.
How did that feel like going from, you went to film school, you started working around like on your own with high-end equipment, and then you get to a big name brand and they're like, here's an iPhone. Like what did that do for you? Like how did you transition to that to be like, okay, not everything has to be super high production, right? For it to be effective. Yes. How was that transition for you?
I mean, I couldn't have been more happy. I'm not gonna lie. I was not the best camera operator. wasn't the best at lighting, audio. Forget about it. Could get by, but like when I realized that, I was grinning, dude. I was just like, I'm like, all right, I know how to use this camera. I think iPhone. It was great, and then I realized the importance of it. I'm like, you could shoot the high end stuff, but if you're shooting it wide. If you're putting it on social media, which is the biggest billboard in the world at this point, it's not going to perform as good. And it's not Instagram literally won't push clips that aren't shot on a smartphone. If you shoot something high quality, it's a lower chance based on like just the bit rate and the algorithm of Instagram, it won't perform as well. It's better to just shoot something timely on an iPhone. We're at a contest. Let's say somebody wins this downhill mountain biking contest. I'm there with an iPhone at the finish line. He passes that by. I give him a dap him up, pound him, whatever it is. I shoot that. It's ready to go. Doesn't need anything. Doesn't need any editing. Doesn't need like some story. It's just a dude crossing the finish line and he's so stoked. Just a real moment. It's showing the athlete fired up after this giant accomplishment. It doesn't need any more than that. At the end of the day, that's really all it was. And you're seeing it through the lens of a camera that we all use, an iPhone or whatever you want to use. A smartphone is the most recognizable vision, unfortunately, because we're all walking around glued to our phones. So if you see something through a phone, it's almost that FOMO thing where you're like, oh my gosh, like that could be me there. That's like, that looks like an electric energy versus shooting a recap video, which are also great. It kind of just overshows it. You want to see it from like the gritty point of view, what it's like to be there at ground zero as this moment happened. And I just quickly realized the importance of that. It's all about just showing people who are consumers of these videos exactly what it's like to be there. And kind of realized that and just went with that for a couple of years.
Nice. And it probably makes it seem like a little more organic.
Organic, that's the word.
Yeah.
So I was happy. I mean, I would occasionally like help out with like some of the in-studio stuff, and people would be like, oh, you do this stuff? I'm like, yeah, I dabble.
I dabble. Yeah. I know a thing or two.
I got a degree in it, but like I'm cool with my job.
Yeah. Don't have me just put up the whole set myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No chance. But yeah, it was cool. Like the stuff I got my degree with, it definitely helped a couple of times, but like less times than. Yeah, you probably guess.
Well, I feel like what a degree did, and we can have this conversation for a second, but it taught you the basics. Like it taught you the history, it taught you the basics, taught you a lot of stuff about film that, isn't necessarily promoted too much online when people are learning nowadays. It also gave you the opportunity to obviously network with great other people that, for the most part, some people will still be working with after college. But I don't think that it's fully necessary sometimes.
Exhibit A. I did not go to school for it. I did not go to school.
And that speaks
He doesn't know how to
volumes.
spell school.
You learn more
right?
about this stuff like through like just being there, like etiquette
Yeah.
on set, not feeling stressed. There's nothing worse than being on a set and feeling like you don't know what the hell you're doing and you're trying to just like make it look like you know what you're doing. And I swear, like I see it so much with these bigger companies I've worked with. I've been on shoots like all over the world at this point, and I'm always the guy with the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I see people like getting all like bent out of shape, and I just kind of kick back, chill with the athletes, chill with the models, whoever's like I'm working with, be their buddy, be their friend, and then when it's time for me to grab them, they're like, "Oh, it's that kid." It's like then they're asking like, "What are we gonna be doing?" I'm like, "Oh, just social media." They're like, "Do you need to mic me up?" I'm like, "No, like it's really easy. Like we just got kind of gonna go for a walk over here and do the silly thing, and we get to hang out, and probably will take 10 minutes." And they're like, "Oh," nice. and they're relieved because they don't have to do the same thing a million times till the photographer gets their shot. Kind of cool, like just being the guy that like essentially you're giving them a break, like the talent. You're giving the talent a break, but you're also doing your job right. And then a lot of the times they'll report back to whoever their point of contact is and be like, "Oh yeah, that kid was cool," and then that goes a long way.
That's good for you, yeah.
So there's a place for organic stuff like shot on a phone, and then there's a place for like high production quality stuff shot on like cinema cameras and stuff like that. Where's the
What's
where
the
we-
purpose
Where
for
and when
which-
kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So when I later worked for Puma, and that's when I sort of started to realize the importance of having both. So we'll call it commercial style versus social media style. The social media stuff is always going to like be the thing that's shared around. People see it, they get the FOMO, they want to show like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I was there." Where the commercial stuff comes in is one inside of like a brick and mortar location. So we'll take Puma for example. You'll never see like an iPhone shot video in Times Square at the Puma store up on the screen. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. That's where you show the high quality stuff. That's where you sell. So for sales, if you're selling something, high quality. Like it's harder to sell something with an iPhone kind of shot. So if I took a video of me like got these new shirts, it's gonna be like come off as douchey, first of all. And secondly, it doesn't really show it. If you get like actual shots of the shirt, run it as an ad, get it in front of a nice white backdrop, the shirts will sell. When you're selling something, that's where the higher quality, higher production value comes in. And when you're just trying to grow an account or grow the company you're behind, essentially get followers, that's when the social media, quick action, timely, evergreen stuff too. That's the importance of that, just being timely and showing like the athletes rocking the brand, having a great time.
Nice. And I know the term and I hear it a lot, but for those who don't know what evergreen is, what is evergreen? Evergreen
is essentially a clip or a post that doesn't have any kind of timely like necessities. So if Christmas is coming around the corner, and I make a video of like somebody dressed like Santa Claus, I'm not going to post that in March. I want to post that leading up to Christmas. Versus if I film somebody doing something crazy on a skateboard, if it's crazy enough, it doesn't matter when you post it, doesn't matter what time of day you post it, doesn't matter what month you post it, it's always going to do well. It doesn't need to be attached to a certain, I guess, date on the calendar.
Yeah. It's just good for whenever.
Yeah, good for whenever.
Nice.
Yeah, outside of Red Bull and Puma, what other brands have you like work with?
Oh yeah, I mean a bunch. Once I was at Red Bull, it just kind of like once I left, I got a bunch of like 6-month contract offers, 1 month, this, that. I was at Gatorade for a while after Red Bull. I worked with Nike after Gatorade for a while. I was there for about 6 months. A lot of like contract-based stuff, like coming up with concepts for TikTok, stuff like that. Those are like the big ones, but then there's like so many other smaller ones that reached out. But yeah, the track went like Red Bull, Gatorade briefly, Nike, then Puma. Those are like the bigger ones that I was with. And then just locally stuff like Boston Pops. I've done stuff with them every year, but the big companies, those are the ones. Red Bull and Puma were the best ones to work with. They were so cool. They were.
Yeah, all doing the same stuff.
Similar, yeah. Yeah, a lot of it was traveling too, which like who doesn't love to travel? Who doesn't love to go to a hotel that you're not paying for, you know?
Exactly. What are some of the places they sent you?
Oh man, when I was at Puma that year, like in 12 months, I went to 13 countries. It was insane. It was the coolest thing. Some of them weren't with Puma, but for the shock factor, we'll just assume they were. I was in Scotland, in the Scottish Highlands for about a week.
Nice.
That was amazing. That was for a photo shoot, doing all social media stuff.
I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw you posting about that.
Dude, Scotland was beautiful. Barcelona. I was in Germany. I made my way up to Berlin on a weekend after the shooting down Herzog, I think pronounced, in Germany. So I went to Berlin. I would take advantage of all these things. One time I intentionally missed a flight leaving Scotland because I saw that I could get a 24-hour layover in Dublin. And I just, sorry, Puma, I don't even care if they see this, to be honest with you. But I intentionally missed it because they screwed me. I was supposed to fly from Scotland to London City Airport and then Heathrow. And there was like an hour layover between Heathrow and London City. It's impossible. If anybody's ever flown into London, you're not doing that. That's like driving from like Drake, Mass to Plymouth, Mass in an hour during rush hour. It's just not possible. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not making that. I'm not going to go fly to London City Airport just to get stuck there for a day. I'm just going to miss this one and see what I could do. Found a $60 flight to Dublin. Nice. And then I flew out of Ireland. I had a night in Ireland. I went around, hit a few pubs, listened to some music, kept it like pretty tame, stayed in a hostel. I would take full advantage of like the traveling. Yeah. Weekends coming up, I talked to my boss. Hey, I was thinking about like staying here for the weekend. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, of course, whatever. Just book your flight out on Sunday and back on Monday.
Nice.
It was pretty sweet. So I got to like touch a few extra countries.
So in Dublin, did you have a Guinness? Because I've been told that Guinness in Ireland is very different from Guinness here, and I'm a big Guinness guy.
Oh, I had more than one.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's just like, there's a rumor about Guinnesses in Ireland that they're served warm. I don't think that's true because I didn't have any warm ones.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor as well, but I think it's been like disproven. You can correct us if we're wrong, but yeah.
I didn't see any warm ones, and I went to I was right next to the factory. Weirdly, the hostel I was at was directly next to the Guinness factory, so I went in and like I was gonna do a tour, but like the guy actually like kind of tipped me off. He's like, you don't want, like, the dude working there. Goes, really? You probably don't want to do the tour. I'm like, why? He goes, have you done a tour to brewery before? I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's the same thing. He goes, the best thing you could do is pay like €5 and you go into the tasting room and you're pretty much going to get like the crash course of the tour and you could drink a few beers. And I'm like, I'm going to do that.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, it was great. The Guinness in Ireland is like delicious.
Yeah, I heard it's on a whole different level. And like around here, there's the perfect pour thing where they're like rated by actually Guinness reps and stuff like that on their pour at different like pubs and bars and stuff like that. But I've heard even that compared to the Guinness in Ireland, it's a whole different level.
Yeah,
that
unmatched.
Like we get our Guinness from I think Maryland. I think the brewery is in Maryland for the States. And it's obviously different in Ireland because it's in Ireland.
Totally. I wonder if that if having it sit in a cask for that long like screws it up or something, because it does taste different in the US. Like, it doesn't taste bad in the US. I still love it, but like it tastes slightly different. Just like way smoother in Ireland. It's just nice and light and smooth and it's not heavy. Common misconception with Guinness, it's the
it's
lightest
so light.
beer.
Yeah. It's only like 100 calories or something like that, and it's super light. It looks dark, but it's light.
It looks like it'd be this heavy thing. It's lighter than a Bud Light based on calories.
Yeah.
They're good. I'm a fan.
One of my drinks of choice. Yeah.
One of them. When was the last time you've only had one?
This morning, as we had the podcast. So yeah, these brands send you like all over the place. What's one of the craziest things that's happened to you, like in your travels?
Ooh. Okay. I think, I'm going to go with this one. So I mentioned this in the rant a minute ago, but I was at an offsite in Herzog, Germany. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but all good. And that was like a week, meetings. It was kind of beat. Like, they didn't give us any like German like fun stuff. There was always like a game or something at the end, and we go to dinner. It was great, but like the first dinner we went to was like this Italian place, which was cool. I'm like, all right. And then like the next day we went and did like the sushi class. I'm like, why aren't we going to like a beer hall or something? Like, why are we making sushi in Germany? That's not what they're known for. And also, like, I don't know if you've done a sushi class, but the last thing you want to eat is sushi after you get your hands all over. It's gross.
Yeah.
I didn't even eat it. I was like, I'm gonna go get Indian food because like I heard that like Indian food's like good there. Somebody told me that. So I made all the sushi. Then I'm like, I'm gonna go have a smoke, and then I just left and got food with somebody else. Yeah, I didn't want it. You like get your hands all over it. Sushi classes are kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like randomly. But so after that, we had like the week of meetings. It was great. Like met our like counterparts over in Germany that we were like in emails with. It's cool to like get face to face with them and brainstorm some ideas. And it ended on a Thursday. Friday was the travel day, so I took advantage of being able to like go somewhere else. And I always heard Berlin was cool. Like I've always loved street art. I've always had like a real like appreciation for it.
Yep.
And Berlin is like a huge city for street art. So I just kind of told my friends that I worked with, like, I'm gonna do Berlin for the weekend. And if somebody else had the same idea, so we kind of just got like a small crew together and went up there. And we had a blast. It was so cool. Like we went out. We ended up going. There was this place that was called the Kit Kat Club, and yeah, in like, I asked the guy at the front desk of the hotel, like, is there a dive bar like that? Would you just grab a beer? Because we got there at like 5 o'clock, and I'm like, maybe we just grab a beer and like figure out what we want to do. We had no plans in Berlin. We were like, see the Berlin Wall and just kind of wing it, you know. And we had a couple of days. So he's like, yeah, the Kit Kat Club or the Kit Kat Room or whatever it's called. I'm like, okay, cool. So we walk over. It's like a big metal door, like all graffiti on it. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Like, doesn't look like a dive bar, but I mean, we're in Berlin. I don't know, different vibes here.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to open it. Some dude opened the door, big German dude. He goes, fuck off. We're not open yet. And he shuts it. I'm like, fuck off. Okay, I'll fuck off. I guess we'll not going there. So we like let it pass. We're putzing around. And then later on that night, we are like cruising back to the hotel, and one of the girls I was with was like, oh, look, that Kit Kat room is open now. I'm like, oh, let's go in there for like a nightcap. And we went in there, and it wasn't a dive bar. Yeah, it was like a sex club, which is like common in Berlin apparently.
Yep.
Yeah, so we go in there, and it was like a club, just like the kind of like that sound. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, do we say? Like, we've had a few beers. Like, let's experience it all. So we're going in. It's just like minimal clothing. I'm wearing like a flannel and jeans. I looked like I was sticking out like a sore thumb. I not wearing leather. You look like were not in the scene. But I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is insane. Like, I'm never gonna forget this sight. And then at one point, we're there for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
And at one point, there's this like, it was like a dragon mouth thing. It looked just like a sculpture. And at one point, there were these sirens that went off, like, I'm like, what's that, a fire alarm? And everyone just starts cheering. And the mouth of this giant dragon thing, like, it looked like this epic, like, piece of art just, like, opens up, like, and people start going in there. I'm like, what could be going on in there? After what we've seen.
What could be going on?
And I think you already
Famous
know what was
last
going on
question.
there. It was literally like an orgy. It was an orgy. I didn't join it. But I did take a walk through. It was like a house of mirrors minus the mirrors and little nooks and people trying to like lure you in.
I feel like a House of Mirrors is the last place that someone would want to have an orgy. That's just, I feel like
I don't know. I like watching.
yourself?
Yeah, myself. Yeah.
From that angle? Yeah.
I
All
walked
angles.
in. It was great. It was like a little maze, haunted house, but with sex. And I'm walking around, and I'm with my coworkers, by the way, who I
God.
didn't know for more than half a year at this point. And I'm just like, are we all seeing this? Like,
And does this all still seem like it was your idea?
Yes.
So everybody just thinks you're trying to get them to this orgy club?
I was told it was a dive bar, and everyone was laughing. I could tell everyone was on the same vibe, and I'm like, "This is insane. This is crazy." We did a walkthrough, and like nobody joined in on it, but like we just kind of did a pass through this haunted house of sex, and then we ended up at the exit where it's like a backyard where everyone's smoking. I'm like, let's get the hell out of here. Yeah, okay, good. Let's go grab a freaking schnitzel and go to bed, I think. That was enough for me.
Oh, my God.
It was wild. I'll never forget it. It was very, very big culture shock, to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll book my ticket tonight.
Yeah.
Go to Berlin, boys.
It was cool. I will say, like, when you go there, like, it's so wild and you're caught so off guard that it's funny. You don't feel uncomfortable. You're kind of like, oh my God, nobody's like looking at you weird. Everyone's just kind of like, dance with me. And there's like, oh. You start dancing your way away from people. And
Come
then,
over here, Mr. Flannels. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude. And then like, yeah. It was crazy. It was great. I mean, I'm happy that I
Of course.
in, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good story and probably a good experience. That's crazy.
Yeah, I told my dad that. And the face he was making the whole time. He's an old school guy. He's just looking at me like, and I'm like, not impressed? Okay, I'll stop.
I'll stop. So if I were you, I would have messed with him. I would have said that you joined.
Yeah.
I would have just 100%. I would have been like, yeah, have you ever seen the movie Euro Trip? It was like the same thing.
Yeah. Oh man, he didn't. He couldn't believe that it was real. I couldn't believe it was real.
Yeah.
These cultures are like
Yeah.
crazy. That the best thing about traveling, especially like since I've been lucky enough to travel a lot on the company's dime for like
Yeah.
all these companies, you get to really experience the culture and you get to eat the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like you got to eat the weird stuff when you go to different countries. That's like what I tell everybody.
What's
Yeah.
the weirdest thing you ever eaten?
Probably, I was in Cusco, Peru. When I left Red Bull, I took a few months off and just traveled in South America with my buddy. It's the best time of my life. We were there for a few months, and we were in Cusco for a while. And one of the delicacies there is guinea pig. And you hear it, you're like, are these really high-end, fancy, like Michelin star restaurant style places, where you go in there wearing a button-up at least, like nice restaurants.
Yeah.
And you order a guinea pig, and sure enough, on a platter, guinea pig with a face looking like a turkey dinner, but it's a guinea pig, and it's like a, I guess it's a delicacy. That's what they refer to it as. So probably guinea pig was the weirdest thing I ever ate, and it was not good.
No, I was going to ask if it was good or
You
not.
can compare the taste. What would you compare it to?
Like, if you get the dark meat of a turkey after it's been sitting in like the juice that comes out of a soggy dark meat turkey is what guinea pig tastes like and feels like. It was horrible. It was gross, really.
You're really selling us on it.
Don't do it. Get it, but you got to try. You get alpaca burgers.
Wow.
That's another thing they have there. And then you see all these alpacas putzing around Cusco, and you're like, oh, they have a face.
Yes. I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's weird.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, weird. Trying the weird stuff, you got to do it. But sometimes after that, I just stuck with the ceviche, because Peruvian ceviche is like really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
That is always, if you're ever in Peru, ceviche is the thing to get.
What's ceviche again?
It's like this acidic juice with raw fish in it. And the juice essentially like cooks the fish to like a minimum. So it's kind of like a sushi soup that's really like savory, lemony, and it's great. And it's good for you too. Like it's all fresh ingredients. Very good. It's very nice.
Yeah. That'd be one of those things where we're just traveling around and I'm watching you
Somewhere in
eat
Peru.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Peru.
We like to experience the culture as well when we travel a lot. I like to order things that I can't pronounce, and he'll just try and find rice somewhere.
Yeah,
Rice and
anything
beans,
vegan.
that he can eat.
Are you vegan?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I knew you. You've been vegan for a while then.
Yeah. For like January, it'll be like 6 years.
Wow, that's
After
amazing.
dinner, yeah.
Yeah, so he just watches me eat.
I just
on
watch
these
him eat
trips.
on our travels
Yeah.
when we try different things in different places.
It's great.
The
It's become a kink.
It is. We make that joke whenever we're out, and if we go somewhere where there is not vegan food, and then he just orders something, they'll be like, "Oh, you don't want anything?" And I'll be like, "No, I just like to watch him eat. It's a kink." And just to make him feel uncomfortable. And then sometimes they'll laugh, and other times they'll just be like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, and then they'll walk away, and we're like, "All right, we gotta go."
What's
it's
better
funny
though
because-
when the staff is uncomfortable or when they laugh? I think it's funny making the staff feel uncomfortable.
It is,
Yeah.
especially afterwards, because he usually has the company card on him, so he's always the one to pay.
I'm the one paying, yeah. So it just
So
looks
it
like I'm
actually
literally
looks like a kink.
paying
It's
for
funny.
him to
Yeah.
eat. Yeah,
That is funny.
Yeah,
I used to do this thing when I'd go out to dinner. I stopped doing it because it got serious one time, and I'm like, all right, I shouldn't be making this joke anymore. I'm
Oh,
getting
God.
too old for this. Apologizing in advance to anybody with a nut allergy watching this, but I would get like a salad, like a walnut goat cheese salad, something that was clearly nuts in it.
Yeah.
I would eat it, and then they're like, "Oh, how's everything going?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's very good." Or I'd be like, "There's no nuts in this, right?" And they'd be like, "I'm like, no, I'm just kidding, I'm joking." And then one time, it was at like Legal Harborside in downtown, and
Yeah.
I like did that, and they like booked it. I guess they had a protocol. They book it. They like, and like before I could even tell them I was kidding, there was like a manager like, "Okay, I'm like, that was a joke. I'm really sorry. Like, I'm so sorry." And it was not good.
Was that like the last time that you did it?
That was the last
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time I did it. It was just awkward. A lot of times they'll be like, kind of like, I'm like, I'm just kidding, and they'll laugh. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess you don't joke about nut allergies at restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to be fair, the ones that take it super serious, good for them.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely like
good
tip
for
my
them.
hat to Legal Harborside for
Yeah.
like doing that. They jumped into action.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
For the people that, actually do.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But no, won't be doing that ever again.
Oh man, no, that's yeah. I was trying to think of if there was any crazy things that you've had. No, the only experience for food that you've had was my favorite experience that he's had. I'll share this and then we'll get back to you.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, you know where this is going. Is we were in Austin, and we there was one year where I think we shot in Austin like 6 times.
Yeah,
like we were down there, so we got comfortable with the place and found some, our favorite spots that we started finding. And then this one place, what was the name of it?
I think it's Tumble 22.
Tumble 22.
So like
Shout out Tumble 22.
Yeah, it's like a chicken restaurant.
Yeah.
Fried chicken restaurant.
Very good.
Where they were known for their like really hot sauce, like hot chicken. And I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, so the I think it was like the second or third day we were there.
This is not a delicacy, by the way.
It is not a delicacy.
Yeah, it's not guinea pig.
Second and third day we went there, and I'm looking at the menu, and they have it like ranged from like not spicy to like holy shit, you shouldn't be eating this. And I'm like, well, I know we have to shoot tomorrow, but I also kind of want to try like something hot. So I got like the second or third notch down from holy shit, you shouldn't be eating this. And I tasted. I'm like, this isn't spicy at all. I'm kind of.
He's a spice bitch.
And I'm,
by the way.
I'm
He's
kind of a big spice guy. I'm like,
I believe that.
Yeah. So
super spice.
yeah. So it wasn't spicy. I ate it. It was good. It was a good chicken sandwich. But I kind of left a little disappointed. And then on the last day, right before our flight was at like what, 2 o'clock or something like that.
Yes, 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Yeah. And like right before for lunch, I'm like, let's go back there. I'm getting the hottest fucking thing on the menu. And then we go back there. We get it for takeout, so we can both eat somewhere outside. And then I sit down and I open it up and I start eating it. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't bad. Has a little bit of a kick to it.
And I'm recording.
Then he's recording the
I have a video.
whole time, and he has a video, and I'll show it. But yeah, not even 30 seconds later, I'm fucking crying. It's the spiciest fucking thing I've ever put in my mouth. And this is before a flight, a 4.5, 5 hour flight back home.
Oh, it was
and this
lingering
thing
the
is
whole
just
time.
liquefying my insides the entire time. And for like, I remember a week and a half to 2 weeks after that, every shit was an emergency.
Oh,
every
no.
shit. And I remember we were actually down at our at another client's house. And we usually stay at his house when we go down and film in Florida. And I remember it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're setting stuff up. And this is a week into my insides being liquefied. And I think I'm good because I like shat right beforehand. And I'm like, okay, we'll be good. I'm good. We set everything up. As soon as we hit record, I'm like, oh no. Like my body went numb, and I've never had this happen because of a shit before. Like my body went completely numb. My tongue went numb. I start cold sweating. I'm so cold, but I'm also sweating. And that's right after we hit the record button. And usually we go for like hours with this client. And we get through like a 2-3 minute video. He's like, oh yeah, let's break right now. Because I actually have a call. I forgot to tell you guys I have a call. And I'm like, oh my God, is there actually a God? Like this just saved me. And I ran downstairs and just let loose. And yeah, his plumbing hasn't been the same since.
No.
And
He actually had to get a new house.
There is nothing worse than that like cold sweat feeling where you're like, oh my God. And then if you're driving, that's the worst. Some of these hot sauces, my buddy worked at a place in Alston called Roast Beast. It's like a North Shore style roast beef place in Alston. It was really good. But one of the hot ones, they made you actually sign a waiver before you would order it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go to that one.
I am going to have to.
It's gone now.
Oh,
but like,
what a shame. What a
that
shame.
place. If you like spicy, you got to go to Buff's Pub in Newton, by the way.
Buff's Pub?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the best wings, like best buffalo wings, and they got this real spicy stuff. Just quality. The best wing, honestly. It's a really, really good one. It's been there since like, I think like the 70s. My parents used to go there and stuff. It's epic.
Yep, never been.
Yeah.
I'll check it out, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are hot, let's talk about some of the content that you create and your on-camera personality. Because I feel like what some people see online, it is you, but it's like a version of you. And I've had the opportunity to know you for a while now, and I always love following your journey and seeing what you're doing. Because when you're online and like the persona that people see through, through like Instagram and stuff, it is this like exaggerated version of yourself, but it's still you. But they don't always know that you're also like a chill dude, and also that things are quite methodical. So when you approach projects, when you approach things that you're doing online for social media, how do you approach them? Like, how do you approach either a campaign, or if you're working like with a company, if you want to talk about, the one on your shirt and there and all that stuff, you can. But how do you approach those projects?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I learned kind of quick. It comes back to like Facebook, like status updates back in the day. If you just say like something safe, it doesn't really start a conversation. But if you say something a little more controversial, so instead of being like Buff's Pub has really good wings, you say Buff's Pub has the best wings in the world. Any other answer is incorrect, so don't even bother. Then people start chiming in. Then it turns into a debate. Then it's like this guy's like this guy's making this huge claim. Like, is it that good? And then people start chiming in with what their favorite thing. It just starts a conversation in the comments. And I realized that like early with Facebook. And that's how I kind of started like liking social media, I guess, because you could really start a debate between your friends and people that you don't even know that follow you. So I think just like my personality online is just a little more like stubborn and confident version of what I am. I'm not saying I'm not confident. I wouldn't say that goes away, but like I just go a little bit extra hard because it sells it. Like it sells it. And I also like a lot of the times when I'm working on some of these things, for like the page that we run, the Purely Boston page, the guy that I do it with, like he goes above and beyond too. And a lot of the times, people meet him or meet me and they say the same thing after, like, oh wow, you're a lot more like chill than I expected. Like you seem like you're just like off the wall at all times. And like it's funny because like people expect me to be this dude who's like going nuts and like shotgunning beers left and right and ripping shots and just being loud and like starting trouble and this, that, and the other thing. But a lot of the times when I'm going and watching a game at a bar or something and I'm not like doing it for the camera, I'm just chilling there drinking a beer. Like, and people will come up to us and like talk to us and be like not underwhelmed, but like pleasantly surprised by it. So it's pretty much just like if we're promoting an event, like we have this watch party coming up on Sunday. We just make it, the goal is always to show the viewers, this is where you want to be on Sunday. Are you watching the Pats on Sunday? Why wouldn't you come here? Like, this is where you should be coming. And it just like making it the one-stop shop, this is where you want to be. Or like if we're selling a shirt, we release a new design of a shirt, you just show it in like the coolest way. It's like not even me wearing it. Like I think the coolest thing about Boston is like the salt of the earth, like old guys that don't give a shit about social media. You get guys like that in the mix. You get guys like that wearing your shirts. Take a photo of them, get a video of them doing some weird rant. That stuff's great too. It's just about showing like the absolute characters that can be like rocking with you and kind of going with that. But I think putting on a facade on social media, no matter if somebody will admit it or not, everybody does it. If you're putting yourself out there and really like kind of taking a risk, I guess, and really trying to show your vibe, everybody turns it up a little bit once there's a camera on them. Everybody does it. And it's your responsibility to like not come off as like a total kook. A lot of people come off as so whack, and like I hope I don't. I might sometimes, but like I see some people, and like I've even like toned down a little bit with like yelling on camera. I keep it like blunt now. I'm just like I just state it confidently, and that's it. And then some people just screaming in the camera like, yeah, it's like that doesn't look fun. Like
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, just make it look fun. Just make it look like you're having fun, and make it look like they show the audience that they want to be there, even if they don't realize they want to be there.
That's good. That's a good point. I think that to your point, there is some level of, how would I say this? You can only be yourself so much to a certain extent online. Like, I think that, to your point, I don't think that it's possible for you to 100% be yourself. I think psychologically, there's something that knowing that there's a camera on you, like even right now, like we're doing our best to be ourselves, but even how we're talking now, as opposed to when we're off of here, even just like how we speak, right? The dialect or the rhetoric or whatever, it's different. And how we're speaking. And I feel like that goes for anybody, whether you're filming on your phone or whether it goes for, filming like this in this type of setting.
You know what? I thought of it one time. Somebody said something similar to this, but I'm just going to take credit for it. I don't care.
Good.
so you watch a Seth Rogen movie, right? Seth Rogen is always just acting like himself. Sometimes in like some of his bigger roles, like he's acting, but in like the stoner, like fart comedy Seth Rogen movies, he's pretty much just acting like himself. And I think everybody just does that. So when you're on camera, you're acting, but you're acting like a more exciting version of yourself. Seth Rogen and guys like even Michael Cera, like guys that are like kind of like typecasted, like goofballs. I feel like that's just how they are, but they're not like that at all times. Like it's not like Seth Rogen's like goofing around, smoking a joint right now. He's probably chilling, doing his taxes, you know? Yeah. But he's not gonna like.
He's probably smoking a joint.
He probably is. Yeah, he probably is. But it's just like when you're on the selfie mode, talking to your followers or whatever, you're just acting like a version of yourself, and that you kind of stick with that, and people get used to it, and then that's what people assume you're like at all times, and then when they meet you, you're just a slightly tamed version of that in the moment when you're caught off guard.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I want to kind of circle back to Purely Boston. How did you get associated with them? How did you get associated with Purely Boston?
Yeah. So I got so Purely Boston shared one of my videos a couple years ago before I knew what it was. Mm-hmm. Just a meme page, you know, Boston memes and photos. You're run of the mill. You know, there's the dime a dozen in Boston, right? So I got something shared by the page, and then later I got a DM from the page inviting me to the Celtics watch party from last year. In the way he prefaced it, he was just like, he said copy paste style message. Just like, yo, like Celtics are the balls. Come watch the Celtics with us at Hurricanes. Like essentially an ad, but in the ad it said all influencers will drink and eat for free the entire night, and that's all it took for me to want to go, because I was gonna go to a bar and watch that game. It was like game 3, like NBA Finals, and I'm like, oh, I could go to this. I'm like, can I bring a few people? They're like, yeah, totally. Just like post about it when you're here. I'm like, okay. So I brought my buddy Fast Frank, and he's not an influencer, but like I was like, Frank, like you've done a few videos on TikTok. Like, yeah, just tell me you're an influencer. You know, like, no one's gonna question it. Yeah. So we go in there, drink for free, met the kid, who now dude Jonathan, who runs the page, now one of my like really good buddies. I pretty much run the page with him now at this point. I'm like the creative director for Purely Boston. That's like my role. It's what it says on my business card, on my email at least. And when I started talking to him at the event, I remember at one point he was like, wow, like I appreciate you like actually like taking the time to like kind of get to know me. Like a lot of the people here just kind of showed up and they were just like on their phones and like just drinking on my tab. I was like, oh, like that's fucking whack. Like nobody's like giving you the time of day in a way. That's kind of the vibe I got, because a lot of those influencers, their heads are so big, and I don't even consider myself an influencer. Like occasionally I'll get a box sent to the house, like especially during COVID. But I'm never going to be one, like I never want to be the guy like, oh yeah, like use my promo code next time you're at Dunks for 10% off. I think that shit looks so tacky. So I only want to push brands that I like. And I kind of vibed with Jonathan with Purely Boston. And I saw like a world of opportunity, because all he was doing was sharing people's content, getting the DM kind of like approval, like, yeah, you can share this. And I talked to him like, what have you considered doing, like original series on the page? So we ended up having a few meetings, you know, every few weeks, turned into once a week. And the next thing you know, we were just like kind of running the page together, and I got logged in, got in my own email with the page, and it just kept like growing. And we came up with a few like original series. And the kid Fast Frank, who like I pretended was an influencer, now he's got his own show that we're getting sponsored. Like I got a few segments. Jonathan has a few segments. I essentially am like bringing my buddies in who are like good on camera and like knowledgeable, not necessarily these like big head influencers, and just saying, hey, it's as easy as this. My buddy Jake knows everything about the Patriots. He never posts on social media, but he's so knowledgeable of the Patriots. We ended up getting a Patriots segment sponsored for Jake, and I edit it. Jake produces it, and we all get paid. It's literally Jake with an iPhone and a set that he made that looks really good. He took the time to do that, but it's really just getting people that don't have an ego to rock with Purely Boston and just speak truths of what's going on. Guys who are credible in the space of like Patriots, the influencers like that, they're going to be too hard to work with. They're going to want to do their own thing. You got a guy that I've known like off camera for like the longest time. Yep. I'm like, do your own thing. Like just talk about, like recap the game, and I'll cut little segments that you say. A couple days later, we ended up getting like a pretty sizable sponsor for the segment. It's as easy as that. So I'm essentially getting all my buddies that I know to be a part of this, and kind of like a Barstool used to have bloggers be like faces of the page. We're essentially getting like producers, like producer editors, to do the same thing as Barstool, but it's like, all right, can you film stuff and like potentially edit stuff and come up with like, watchable and shareable content? Yes. All right, let's try you out. Let's see what it works. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Like the scroll just keeps going anyways. If you post something that doesn't perform that well, nobody's going to be talking like, oh, they posted this video and it sucked. It's just going to get forgotten. So like you could really just bring anybody in who's slightly comfortable on camera and they can have a segment on this page. That's sort of what I realized. So we've been doing that. And we've been growing it like crazy. Like since I got linked up with them, we've gained like a sizable amount of followers. We've gotten deals with like Harpoon. We've had plenty of calls with Sam Adams for projects. Anna Sakuria we're working with right now. You name it. We do watch parties at bars. It's pretty much just like a really fun job, and I'm making enough money to get by. I'm not making it as much as like some of these like big jobs, but I am getting close to that point. Nice. And I work a hell of a lot less, and I'm just doing stuff that never feels like work. I'm like going to like Patriots games for free and sitting in like really cool seats just because of partners that we know, and it's really cool benefits. And since I joined up with this dude, I feel like it's really become like more of an organization rather than just like post a viral clip and hope it goes. There's a whole vibe, there's a whole energy now. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty much my job now, working with Purely Boston.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear how you were able to be a part of the transformation of it, and also to have the vision for it, right? To see what it was not lacking, but to see the potential of where it could be.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a ceiling, obviously. It's a Boston kind of like media account, but Barstool Sports started as a Boston thing, Yeah. They grew like crazy, and like we are Barstool-esque, but like it goes back to like we can have these guys who are producer editors, guys that could shoot stuff on their phone, splice it together. If they're churning out segments that are good, like niche stuff in Boston, like North Shore roast beefs, like that's a thing in Boston that everybody has an opinion about it. Yep. We want to post stuff like that because if we post like, here are the top 5 best North Shore roast beefs in New England, you're going to get 1,000 comments of everybody being like, fuck you, like this place should be on this list. And if you get comments like that, keep them coming. The hate comments, the opinionated like hate comments.
Builds engagement.
Oh yeah, boost it. Every time you comment on one of these videos, it goes right back up to the top. So it's just all about like knowing what's cool and what's like controversial in Boston and making like segments and series around it. So that's kind of where we're at now with the page.
That's awesome. I have an idea that just popped into my head.
Go.
We need to unwillingly, against his will and without him knowing, we need to make Dan just super viral and get a coffee series going about all different places in New England and best coffee, and have him
he would both love and hate
stuff.
that.
Yeah, he would love and hate that because he would hate the attention. He switched to a flip phone. That's how much he's like against social media.
I love
he's
that.
He's like against social media. He's against like being on the phone, doom scrolling, all that stuff. Love him to death. But he would hate that, but love that at the same time.
We would run that. If you went to places in Massachusetts and filmed 6 of them, we would run that. We would post it, and it would probably do well. If you have 5 episodes ready to go on anything, just in general, anybody watching at home in the Boston area, if you have an idea that's like niche and core to Boston, like that, we would try anything out really, as long as it like has a vibe and there's like energy. It will probably do well. Like people like seeing characters, they like seeing reoccurring faces. It's like a TV show. It's like a TV network,
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Dan, you're up.
Dan, you're up. You're next.
Hey, I know I gave him the kill on the marry fuck kill earlier, but I might marry him if this thing goes viral.
Look at that. All right. So that's how you get to marry Daly. Is got to go viral. So yeah, to your point though, that's kind of partially what we're also doing with some of the podcast and this, right, is like having the opportunity. It's not the same thing, but similar, where it's like the opportunity here to like have series and have things. And even for like hosts, like there's probably going to be a time when I reach out to you in the future when we're going to have a guest on where I'm like, yo, I think that would be great to have you on as a guest host. Right. And and make it that type of community thing where there's familiar faces on here, but it's to the point where people who are watching or listening, they end up having, like, oh, Daly's going to be on. Cool. Like, I can't wait to see this one. Or, oh, he's going to be a guest, a guest host, or, Dan's going to be on again, or like this, that, or the other, like the coffee thing that we mentioned, like in another episode for the cupping. We're eventually going to have that into kind of like a mini series, but with different types of things. So
that's a great idea. Like doing series is the way to do it, because then you associate the person with an action.
Yeah.
Like if Dan was doing the coffee thing.
Yeah.
If somebody scrolls and they see Dan in a segment 5 different times in the course of a month, they're going to associate Dan with your company as well as with this segment.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, he's getting recognized on the street and he hates it.
I know that would make me so happy. I really want to make Dan so uncomfortable, but in the best way possible, where it's like he's being recognized for something that he loves, but he hates being recognized. Oh, that would be so good.
That's
be so
funny.
good.
That's the best way to do it.
Yes. Let's talk more about that after. I want to try and make that happen.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful. So if someone was to, go about this, right? So you said create a series, right? And you're trying to bring people on for Purely Boston. And whether it's Purely Boston or it's something else, and somebody is looking to be online, they're making content, what is the best way for someone to transition to the point of actually making it into a profitable business for themselves, right? Whether they're an influencer, whether they're, a content creator or a creative director, how do they transition into actually making money?
In social media.
In social media, correct. Yes.
Yeah, to make money as like an influencer in social media, it really just starts with, there's like a few tiers of it. You just start posting, not regularly, but like you just like post stuff, even if it does bad, just keep posting, like TikTok, Instagram, even if it's a rant that like you think is funny, if it's a point that you think is funny, even if it doesn't do good, like don't even get discouraged. Just keep doing stuff, little skits, this, that, or the other. And then the next step is start doing stuff with like local brands. So the first box I ever got as a social media influencer was during COVID. Me and my roommate Frankie, who I've done videos with like forever, he I can't remember like how this like came about, but it was during like lockdown COVID, prime COVID. And I think I made a comment like I could easily tell the difference between like Starbucks and Dunks and McDonald's and all those iced coffees. I got like my preferred Dunks.
Yeah.
And he's like, I doubt you could tell the difference between McDonald's and Dunks. It's the same thing. I'm like, it's not at all. And then we ended up being like, let's do a blind taste test. So we shot it, and it was me blindfolded, Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, Starbucks, McDonald's, and then like a home brew one that my mom made. And I just like blind taste tested them, guessed what each one was. I guessed them correctly, and then like ranked them. So I did that video, and everyone was like, this is hilarious. Like, do more of these. I'm like, okay, like that video like performed well. That was fun. It was easy. We have nothing to do. There's no sports on. We're sitting around like working from home, sitting on the couch watching Breaking Bad and like keeping our Slack open pretty much. And then we just started doing a few of them. We kind of just like milked the hell out of this blind taste test thing. So we did one that was like 4 beers, and I wanted my dad to do that one. So this was like the big first box thing for my dad. My dad is a light beer drinker, Bud Light, like through and through. Everyone loves the dude. Not on social media, unless it's me putting him on social media.
Yeah, which I always love seeing. I always love when you put your dad on social media.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a salt of the earth guy. We set up this whole thing. I was like, let's do a blind taste test with my dad. Bud Light, Miller Light, Coors Light, Natural Light. And we're like, let's just take this way far. So we started promoting this live event where it's my dad, Jimmy Daly, doing the blind taste test live on Instagram. And we started making all these flyers, like we were promoting it like it was like a boxing event.
Jesus.
We hyped it up so much. Like we were pushing it. Like we're hyping up an event, essentially. So the day of, I'm like, wow, people are really like excited for this. There wasn't any sports on, and I was like filling that void. I'm like, what's missing right now during COVID? Sports. This is a live event. Anything can happen. There's a goal, like he's trying to win. It's pretty much live sports and doing it in the comfort of our own house. And we have a bar at the house, so like we were able to like kind of get a little set going.
Yep.
So I had my mom, my dad and Frankie and I downstairs. My mom was in charge of like the lighting, which was the lights in the basement and audio. So we had a whole thing. And another thing, right before this, I found out that people were legit betting on this.
Really?
People had like these like, not like Super Bowl squares, but it was like this like a questionnaire. I can't remember the word for it, but essentially be like, if Jimmy Daly, how many Massachusetts towns will he name? Plus 12, minus 12, and then the odds. There was betting. There was literally betting going on, and it caught wind to it. So I shared it on my story. Next thing you know, a bunch of people are betting on this.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, I can't tell my dad. He's going to clam up because he doesn't like the attention.
Yeah.
Or maybe he does, and he just pretends he doesn't. But my dad does not like the attention.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is a lot of hype. So I'm like, let's take this to the next level. Me and Frankie dressed in tuxes, like we were like announcers for like a UFC fight or a boxing event. And we had my dad like enter with like music and like strobe lights. And we did it fully live on Instagram. And we just had the camera set up, on a tripod. I'm like, I don't know how many people are in this thing right now. Who knows? It could be 0.
Yeah.
And like usually if I go on Instagram live back then, this is before I got linked up with like Purely Boston.
Yep.
I'd probably get like, I don't know, 20 people max.
Yep.
So I do the thing. We run through it. My dad got all 4 of them right, which was like electric. The basement lit up. We were all going nuts. There was a lot of energy down there.
Yeah.
And then I ended the live, and I looked, and there was like 700 people on it.
What?
Like a bunch of people, including Anheuser-Busch.
Oh.
Like Budweiser was on there. And they sent my dad a box, and he was
that's
so
cool.
fired up. They sent him a box with like hoodies and merch and like all this stuff and a handwritten note. So then I'm like, wow, we got a box from Budweiser? Like, that's cool. So I started going with that angle. Ended up doing another blind taste test and did it for pickles. I had Grillo's pickles in there. Grillo sent me a box.
Those, yep.
And then just down the line, then I just realized you could just start like tagging these brands once you have like a slight following. They're going to send you stuff. Like this company, The Label, they sent me a box one time and they sent me like hoodies, shirts, like, and then you rock this stuff and it's seen on social media, it's seen wherever, it's seen here. Like it wasn't an accident that I wore this hat, but I also do love this hat. You just kind of like segue your way into that. You get free shit, and then eventually you're gonna be able to just like pick your own price, and that's when it gets kind of funny. You're like laughing on the back end. There's like you ask them what their budget is. So if someone's like, "Oh, we'd love for you to come here and do a video for us," and I'm like, "Oh, cool, that sounds great. Like, do you have a budget for this?" Just a couple times there. They're like, oh, no budget. We were just hoping we'll hook you up with a free like meal though, which is always great.
Yep.
And eventually, like you start working for money, and then you just throw a number out there. It's like, all right, like I'll come make a video, make an Instagram reel about this restaurant. I'll post on the story. I'll hype you guys up in like an organic way that doesn't look forced. $500. And then they're like, yeah, it works. I'm like, oh, okay. And then you just sort of like just keep testing it, I guess, and see like what happens. In restaurants, you don't want to like go too high on.
Yeah.
But dude, they got a company like, I don't know, like a brewery in Boston.
Yeah.
They're like, how much you guys want for this? And you're like, $1,700. And they're like, yeah, it works. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like it worked.
And this is again just for like something on your phone. You're going in and you're
phone
making
hyping up something, whether
making
it's
it look like user generated content.
But once it gets over $1,000, it's like you're like, all right, let's take this serious and like actually make sure this performs. And then you got guys like realtors have hit us up. Like, could you make me 3 videos to post on like the page? And we're like, yeah. Give them a good rate, because it only takes a while. You're pretty much giving somebody if it's a person, like an individual who wants to like blow up, like we did one with this like local like mixologist. He was like spending his own hard-earned money to like get a few posts. It's like, all right, let's really see if we can get this guy like a video that's going to be shared. And there's nothing more like gratifying than like knowing that an individual gave you their own money to like get a video that was going to like be shared around and having it shared. We did one for a realtor recently, and I had like a unique idea using like a Ring app camera.
Yep.
And dude, it got like between TikTok and Instagram, just on like in the Boston area, it got shared like 100,000 times, 3 million views at least, like between platforms. The dude couldn't be more excited. He got a bunch of followers from it, and it's really cool. And if it's a bigger company, you milk them. But if it's an individual, like you get a smaller payment or a fair payment, it's great. And then you could use that as proof. It's like, look at this. This guy got 3 million views. Like, we're going to get 3 million people to see you.
Yeah. How do you present like an ROI as an influencer? You know what I mean?
Like
ROI. To a company. Like, so their investment in you, how do you, when you're presenting like, hey, it's going to be X amount. It's going to be $1,700, right?
How do you justify that?
How do you justify it? Yeah. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be that much. I'm asking though, if somebody were to ask you, like, how do you justify that?
Yeah.
Or how do you justify just the price in general?
Believe me, it still sounds a little bit steep to me. I still feel a little weird, like sending out that amount, but like that's like there's a demand for it, and they want their like name out there or whatever they're trying to sell. I essentially we have these like breakdown one sheets that shows like the reach, the average viewership, the average engagement, and like luckily like I'll get stuff for just my personal page. We'll get stuff for like the bigger page. You just show like this is our average reach in a month. Our last 5 videos reached this many. This original one was that, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, you just pretty much like show them like this is the actual analytic breakdown of what we're providing. This is what the page will get if everything is, unless we have some crazy thing happen where the page gets like a ton of unfollows, which is unlikely. We're pretty much going to be able to reach these numbers. So we just say this is what these are the numbers you're gonna get. If you want to pay that amount, I think this is what we think is fair, and we'll do 3 videos and a few stories and yada yada yada.
So when you're approaching a conversation when it comes to budget with a client or a brand as an influencer or someone in that space, what's the biggest difference with how you go about it? Because I know that you mentioned 2 things. You mentioned asking what their budget is, and then you also mentioned presenting a budget, right? When is the right time to do either of those?
It really just depends on who you're talking to. If it's a bigger company, you tell them like a 3 video package costs this much, and you send them the one sheet with all the options. So it's like for 1 video and 1 Instagram story, it's this much. For 2, yada, yada, yada. And there's like 6 different packages. And you just show them like, this is what it costs for that. But if it's somebody that's a smaller company or a restaurant or somebody that doesn't have a bigger budget, you could give them a fixed rate. And the best part about that is like they feel special because you're like leveling with them. Yeah. And also you're like sort of helping like a smaller entity grow.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's just time and a place, depends who you're talking to. If you're giving like a bigger budget, that's to a bigger company that you know has the money. And at the end of the day, like the money is still well spent, because like if there's more money, we're gonna take it serious no matter what, and we're gonna like do our best to make it a viral clip. If there's money involved, like my goal is to just like make it as viral and shareable as possible. So that means like relatability. Yeah. And showing that FOMO that we talked about earlier. So yeah, just all about like knowing your audience and knowing the client and who's paying you, and making sure they feel like their money is well spent, so they come back again in a month and do the exact same thing.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that a few times now, right? Because the virality of a clip and the importance of that for you, is there like a certain formula to it? I know that sometimes you hear people be like, oh, I have the formula to make a viral video or to make your video go viral. Some people say that there is no such thing as the perfect formula. What would you say in your experience?
Yeah, there's definitely like a formula. It doesn't come down to like framing all the time. It really is like action in the first 3 seconds. Know what you're going to get out of this video in the first 3 seconds. One thing that we have seen success with are like listing things. Here are the top 5 blank, like you name it. And then take it even further to make it a little more viral. If it's something that's like nostalgic, one of the videos we did involving a list was top 5 most nostalgic childhood birthday venues. Highly specific. But you're talking about places like Storyland, DZ Discovery Zone. You're talking about these places that you remember as a kid, and you watch it, you're like, oh, I remember that. Like Lanes and Games, bowling place that everybody probably might remember that was like Cambridge. If you know what your audience is going to resonate with, whether it's nostalgic or whatever your angle is, it's going to probably do well. And if you throw a list in, it's controversial. So top 5 nostalgic childhood venues, I could name 5. And then if I said it right now, you guys would have an opinion of one that means something to you. And the people commenting on the video also think that way. So you watch a video about a top 5 list, there's probably a 90% chance you're going to comment on it and be like, what about this place? And then once those comments add up, it looks really good for people that are potentially buying a content package off of us. It's like, oh, wow, this video got 700 comments plus X amount of views.
Yeah.
It just looks really good. So to go viral on social media, you have to know what your audience is. And I'm lucky enough to be a Boston-based audience, and I just know a lot of the ins and outs of like what people have controversial opinions on.
Yeah, because you are the audience.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, for people that aren't the audience and they're trying to make content for other people, like if they're working with a brand where you aren't the specific audience that this brand is going after, how would you, if you can even try to give an example, but how would you take the idea that you have and the formula that you have and make it work for that when you're not the audience?
Totally. I've had that happen a bunch. Like the most random companies will inquire about paying us to make videos. Companies that don't even really know what they do. Like stuff that's like credit score and defending your money and blah, blah. I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. All I know is my credit card's almost maxed out. That's all I know about that. So you just learn exactly what the company does, even if it's not your lane, and then just put it in layman's terms. Like just legitimately explain it like you're explaining it to yourself, and find a cool video that will do that. So if it's like a insurance company or something like that, just give an example or do a skit that makes sense to you. So if I'm doing something for an insurance company, get my buddy Justice Heddenberg involved to do a fake stunt on his skateboard and make an insurance ad with that. The last thing you want to do is get paid by a company that isn't necessarily your audience and just like go selfie mode and be like, yo, you guys got to check out this awesome new insurance company in Boston. Been using them. They've been great. Link in bio. There's a 25% off promo code if you use my name. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
But the best thing you can do is actually show what the business does and show like them in the coolest light, even if they're not necessarily like a cool company. You can always make something look cool. Like that, like the FOMO thing. It's just giving somebody FOMO. Making an insurance company look like a cool insurance company is the goal if you're getting a client that's not necessarily your target audience.
So make it look like you just want to get hurt so you can go through this insurance company.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think Virgin Air did the best. Virgin Airlines, they had these ads that make it look like cool people are flying with Virgin Airlines. But then you get on there, it's the same exact thing. Yeah. It's really the same thing, any airline, but like showing like this really good vibe and like beautiful people and having a drink on the plane and laughing. It's like, oh yeah, next time I fly, Virgin Air's $60 more. Yeah, I'll go with that. Showing it as a really cool thing when necessarily it's not going to always be that much cooler than the next cheaper option.
Yeah. I hear that you do that with your Tinder profile as well.
Of course.
Good.
Hinge, Bumble, you name it.
All of it.
It's a facade.
It's a facade. That's where you get the Wicked Fast from? Mm-hmm. Is that, yeah, good.
That's right, baby.
I
got wicked fast because I was into running. That's how that nickname started. I was running these 5Ks, and I never ran in college or high school, never did it. And I was living in LA, and people were running around all day, like just people going on runs. And eventually, I'm just like, what's up with running? Like, why is everybody doing this? Is it cool? And I had these like Vans, like pretty much Van flat shoes. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to see if I can run a mile. I haven't done this since middle school. Ran a mile. I'm like, all right, I actually feel kind of accomplished from that. You have a runner's high. So I started just getting into running in Vans. And then I signed up for my first 5K. And there was probably like 500 people, maybe a little more, honestly, at least 500. I ended up coming to third place running in Vans, first race I ever did.
That's crazy.
And I was always like the Boston guy back there. And I was hyping it up that I was into running because I was like proud of it.
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, what do you think? You're wicked fast or something? And I'm like, hey, I kind of like that. And then people started just kind of referring to me as that in the running community out in LA. So I'm like, I'm changing my name to Wicked Fast. Like that's too good. So that's how that started.
I actually had no idea how that started. So
yeah.
No, that's funny. Yeah. I always forget. It's funny because whenever I'll go on, like I'll never look you up by your Instagram name. So I'll always forget that it's Wicked Fast. And I just had this moment where I remembered it. And I was like, oh yeah, what the hell is that? Yeah. How did you get that name?
Dude, a lot of people just refer to me as that I don't even know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
That makes sense though.
For a while, I didn't have my first name on there.
Yeah.
Just for like, I don't know. When you work for these bigger companies, some of the stuff I post is outlandish.
Yeah.
And nothing like illegal, but sometimes I look like a goon on Instagram. And I just switched to Daly, just Daly.
Yeah.
So if somebody I work with types in Brian, like they won't see it. It was kind of a way. My mother actually gave me that idea.
Nice.
So it's just Daly, and then for the longest it was that.
Daly.
So then, Wicked Fast. People would just come up to me at the bars, even to this day, and be like, "Hey, aren't you Wicked Fast?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yes, I am.
I sure am.
Again, as you're like on a date, somebody comes up to you, aren't you wicked fast? And you're just like, no,
Yeah.
no. What? No? Do I know you? What a transition. What a transition. Wicked Fast, and a Wicked Fast spot by our sponsor, 44 Studios. That's why we're here. Yes. What you were going to say something.
Was I?
Yeah,
The fuck was I going to say?
exactly.
I was going to say something about our sponsor.
Yeah, of course you were.
Yeah.
I
Who's our sponsor today, Mike?
44 Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are we sitting in front of right now?
Backdrop.
Yeah. What's so special about these backdrops?
They all collapse and compartmentalize into one place
Yeah.
so that it saves space.
Yes.
And then whenever you want to use one, you can just pull it out and use it.
Yeah.
It's super quick.
And
super
you're
easy.
rich when you use it.
It's not
And you're
super
rich.
quick. It's wicked fast.
It is wicked fast.
Yes.
That's
Hey.
what it is.
That's the transition.
That's what it is. That is the transition.
Yes.
It is wicked fast.
So-
So that it saves you time and it saves you money because time is money.
Yes. Everybody knows how long it takes to set up a backdrop. It could
That's
take
true.
30, 45 minutes.
That's true, which is not wicked fast.
It's not wicked fast. It's wicked slow.
Exactly. But you know
Yeah.
what is wicked fast?
These backdrops.
That's right. Yeah.
10 seconds, switching through 6 different backdrops.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
Yeah. I cannot
Wicked
do
fast.
that many things in 10
Do
seconds.
most studios have like the pulley system like this? Because
Nobody does.
That's great idea.
Yeah.
That is efficient. That's cool.
Thank you. This was custom made with our contractor. We call him DC because that's his artist name. His name's Dylan Carnes, really nice guy. He also works for a soundproofing company. But he helped make this, and this was one of the ideas that we came up with together because we were like, hey, we want to save people space in the studio because we didn't want to have all these giant backdrops anywhere and save people time and money because as you know, with like having to set up like a setup backdrop and the pull down and all that stuff, it's tedious. So we were like, we just want
And
to
if
save
people are renting here hour by hour, we want to maximize the amount of content that they can film here and make it as easy as possible for them. So we wanted to come up with a system where they can all condense to one spot, but you can leave the lights set up in one spot and you're pulling out 3 different backdrops. And then we have the pull down backdrops as well. So we just wanted to make it as fast, wicked fast as possible for
That's
people
wicked
to
fast.
I love
switch
that.
between scenes.
The pulley thing is like on the track, like that's sick. That's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited about it. And again, that we're the only ones with it. So let's keep it that way. No. Speaking about, saving money, let's talk about making money.
Oh, yeah.
What is one of the biggest contracts, if you don't mind sharing, that you've gotten doing what you do? And can you explain what was included in that contract, like what you had to make for what you got? Because I would love for people to hear like what kind of money can be made by someone that, does, I know that it's different because you're also a creative director and you're not just like an influencer because I hate that word. But, I want people to understand that there can be money made, even if you don't have 3 million followers and, you're not a huge name. Not saying that you're not a big name.
I'm not. I know. I don't want to
But
be a
somebody
big name.
even at your, because what are you at right now on social media? With like
With just me.
just you.
On my personal Instagram, like 7,000. So that's pretty low.
Pretty low, yeah,
But
comparatively.
TikTok is the one where I did a few fire. I got like 30,000, which is also
Which is still
low.
pretty low, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like make $1 million a year high because some of these people like really
Stupid money.
really make some crazy money.
Yeah. So like even at that, being at that level, because again, I feel like people think that you need to have 1 million followers to be making money. What is one of the bigger contracts that you've had?
Yeah, so this one wasn't me on camera. This is me producing, but it was a social media clip.
Yep.
So I was reached out around the time I was transitioning jobs. I was reached out by somebody, got my information somehow, and they worked for like a pretty notable company, like one that has a lot of money. I won't share it
Yep.
for this
Yep,
thing
that's
'cause
fine.
out of respect.
Yeah.
But they wanted a short, like 1 minute long documentary about a marathon runner who's going to be running the Boston Marathon. And the last time she ran it, it was when the year the bombs went off.
Yep.
An interesting story, like a deep story, not my usual thing that I would cover, but it was like a paid gig, and obviously I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So I went into it. I'm like, yeah, I could totally do this. Like, so there's journalism involved here. There's video editing. There's audio. There's everything, camera operating. So I'm just adding these things up, and I'm like, all right, I'm really a one shot kind of guy. Like I could do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like jack on a price just because I'm giving them a lav mic that's plugged into my iPhone. You know,
Exactly,
like
yeah.
I'm not gonna like try to milk these people dry.
Yeah.
But I ended up giving them a quote for a day rate. So I was like, how many days of editing do you see this being based on like this style production that you've done? And they're like, I'm thinking it'll probably be like 1 day shoot, 3 days editing, probably 3 revisions. And I'm like, all right, like with that amount, I think $1,000 a day is fair, which is like low.
Yeah.
Definitely low.
Yeah.
But it was a 1 day shoot, you know.
Of course.
So we did that. We did the shoot. I shot on an iPhone and then my skate camera with a fisheye to get some like a little more interesting shots. But it was just me with a backpack and an iPhone in my pocket, essentially. Interviewed this girl a couple times around Boston, filmed her running, B-roll, just got enough interview stuff to tell her story in like a minute to a minute and a half, and then enough B-roll to like go over it to make it like actually look like a short documentary.
Yeah.
And then when it came for post-production, my first cut, it was pretty much very similar to what the final cut looked like. There wasn't many, there's small tweaks.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Like it wasn't like the first cut I sent they hated and they needed to like reverse engineer it. They're like, this is great. Can we do this? And then it just turned into this cooks in the kitchen thing on their end where everybody's throwing in these ideas that were like so easy for me to do, but I'm kind of tweaking it. So every day I'm touching it. That's according to the contract. That's the day rate. So I would mess with it for, part of the day. And then it ended up being, it was 16 days of editing, which I thought was going to be 3. So we got 1 day shoot, 16 days of editing. And throughout the process, I'm butting in and I'm on these calls like, FYI, I quoted you guys at this much. Is this going to be a problem? Like, no, it's fine. Like, this is more on our end. Like, you're doing great, yada, yada, yada. They're like, kind of like, I guess, like, give me the affirmation. Like, don't worry. Like, sorry, this is, they're apologizing. I'm like, I'll take more money. Like, but I just want to make sure that, like, you're not going to get screwed for this. So I ended up for this minute-long video, which took 1 day to shoot. And to be honest with you, probably about a day to edit, just small tweaks like
Spread
this.
out over time,
Actually, we liked it better before. Go back to this, do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, at this point, I would just give it to somebody in-house to edit, but whatever. And I'm getting $17,000 for this video that got about 8,000 views. So I'm like it was. I was super proud of how it came out.
Of course,
thought it came out great. The client loved it. The girl who I was interviewing also seemed to really like it.
Yep.
Everything was smooth. The company's got billions of dollars. I just ended up being on the right end of the stick, and I walked out with $17,000 where I thought I was walking out with $3,000, and it was the coolest thing. So that's just like comes down to like people getting excited about how something looks, and then the client getting ideas of their own, and they're like, oh my gosh, like what if we did this? Is this possible? I'm like, anything's possible. Like I could tweak this whole friggin' year if you want me to do it.
Yeah. 365 days.
Yeah. Oh, I'd imagine that. But yeah, I mean, that was the best thing. It was like the minimal work. I was proud of how it came out. It was sleek looking. The story, that was a very intimate story, was told properly.
Yeah.
And I walked out of there with $17,000 for not working that hard. So it was great. That was like one of my favorite gigs I ever did, to be honest.
You don't say. Yeah, you don't say. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. And you said primarily shot on an iPhone?
Mostly on an iPhone. And then a few B shots of like my fisheye camera and unique shots. It wasn't just me like,
Of course.
Like I took, it was a full day of shooting. It was a long day.
Yeah.
But yes, worth it. Like 100% worth it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people get so caught up on like, oh, I need like this fancy camera to do this. So I need this lens. I need lighting. I need this and that. When at the end of the day, it's about the story that you're telling and the audience that you're putting in front of, and really understanding the client as well and what the client needs.
Totally.
Shoot it on whatever the hell you want.
And like, I don't feel even like bad or guilty like taking that amount of money, because everybody on the other end was super real about like, this is great. We like this. There's just we just want to keep switching it. Like there was never like a wait. Did you get a shot of this? Wait, you didn't get that? Got all the shots I wanted.
Exactly.
I did everything the best I could. It came out better than I expected. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, I did a 1 day shoot and got almost $20,000 for it. Like that was like the coolest day of my life. Once I hit my bank account, I was like, what? Like
I'm gonna go get a Guinness.
Yeah. Got a round of Guinnesses for the bar that day.
That's right.
It was nice. Thank you, client, who may or may not be seeing this.
Yeah. Hey, if they do, then the podcast is doing something right. So
True. Very true.
That means that they're going to see it. So a lot of people think that time equals money. Would you say that that is one of the instances where you've gotten paid the most for the least amount of time that you've worked, where it was more of a value thing, less than a time thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And do you agree with that statement as well?
Time equals money.
Yeah. Or do you think that there's more value based? How should somebody go? How should someone go about like valuing themselves? Should it really be based on the time, or should it be based on other things?
I think a mixture of the two. Like time sometimes should equal money. If you're doing a 9 to 5, that's the most classic. Time equals money. But I think our brains, no matter who you are, no matter how creative you think you are, like we all have like a creative vision, and if you're able to showcase that in a way where you could like sell it and do something for a client while using your creative brain, that's worth more than like putting time in, I'd say. So like being able to bring somebody's vision to life and be able to like tell somebody's story that they wouldn't be able to showcase as good didn't take that much time. If it was worth it for them, it's worth it for me. I would have done it for a hell of a lot less. But at the end of the day, it's cool to know that like you're valued at that like tier of money for doing something that you only really got because you checked your spam folder. You know?
That's crazy. Is that how you got it?
No, but I mean, it has happened before. I've got in my spam folder, and there has been like gigs that ended up lucrative.
All right, so you've worked with like Puma, you've worked with Red Bull. Are there any brands on your radar right now
Like
that you haven't worked with?
That I'd like to work with?
Yeah, that you would like to work with, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, there definitely is. I feel like Ben and Gerry's is a company I would love to work with. I think they're so cool. They're such a vibe. They're like that local New England flavor. No pun intended with flavor. Nice. Ben and Gerry's does really good. I really like. I guess I've worked with Grillo's, so I can't say them. People that do like good ads. Let me actually think about that for a sec, because I feel like this is one of those things where I'm gonna remember one later.
Yeah.
You know who I would love to work with? Less like big brand, more local. Papagenos. I want to work with Papagenos.
Okay.
They are like failing right now, and they are so iconic to everybody's childhood.
Yeah.
Everybody who grew up in Boston has like fond memories of Papagenos, and they're just not doing it right. It's sad to see. If you go to their Instagram, it's like clearly an agency's running it for them. It's just like photos of like come in this day for a deal, and that's not going to move the needle. If they like actually took the time and like saw the benefit in working with like influencers that have the right vibe for them, it could potentially save their company. They could be like Arby's is a great example. They totally changed their whole vibe, and then they became like really successful again. They're about to go bankrupt. I would love Papagenos. I think I could like save Papagenos. I'm not even kidding.
How would you save Papagenos?
Well, I don't want to say it in case they see it, but I have like ideas for like just like making Papagenos like seem like that cool, young, hip pizza brand in Boston. I think Regina's is like known as like a good one. Santarvio's is known as a good one. Papagenos is like the chain restaurant version of all these places. What they've done in the past 10 years hasn't really been working. Their pizza's great. It's an iconic logo. I think just making them be cool again and putting them in the right places, whether it's like having them at an event, getting them involved with like the right people, it could totally change their thing, because they're only a New England based brand, but they don't jump on the New England thing. They probably paid Gronkowski like $2 million a year to like be in a commercial occasionally, but like they're not really even doing anything like that anymore. If they worked with like actual people out there in the street, influencer style people, anybody like that, it could totally change their entire like company.
Well,
bet you didn't expect me to say Papagenos after
I
Red
did
Bull.
not. I actually did not expect that at all. Yeah.
I honestly expect. I thought you were going to go with. Like, I thought you were going to pick up the Liquid Death can and be like Liquid Death.
I do like Liquid Death. They got some good stuff going on.
Yeah, I like their marketing is. Oh man, I love their marketing. But
they have a great thing. It fills a void for people who don't drink. It fills that void of like holding a can at like a concert. It's this was like the world needed this.
I agree, and how they've capitalized it from the marketing perspective, where it's like they don't take themselves seriously, but they do take themselves seriously. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Papagenos, if you're seeing this or listening to this, I don't know why you'd be listening to this, but if you see this, we're going to take this clip, we're going to put it out there. Anybody who sees this, tag Papagenos, tag Daly, tell them that they need to work with Daly and that Daly needs to work with them so that he can revive Papagenos. And all that we want in return is for some free pizza and for you to sponsor the podcast. That's it. We want Daly to revive the podcast. We want Daly to revive Papagenos, and then you become a sponsor for us you're welcome for making the connection, and bring some vegan options to your menu. Jerry doesn't care about that. I do
not.
Yes.
How cool would it be to like actually help a brand that like we all like know and love from childhood
sick.
though? You know, like,
Yeah.
it'd be that'd be like it's like a goal. I've like talked about it in like more than once. That's something I've like thought of, and like it's gonna be sad. Like they're gonna just all be kind of like gone. Like Friendlies, Brigham's, these are places that we like knew and like have fond memories from our childhood. Like there's no Friendlies really anymore. Brigham's is totally gone, other than the grocery stores. And Papagenos is like the next to go. And like it'd be so cool to be able to like help that style company that like has the potential to really be like a top dog player in like. If they just took a little bit of a risk. Wendy's takes risks on Twitter and it made Wendy's cool. Papagenos just like took a little bit of risk and like became more of like a character. They would totally be able to like come back.
Definitely. I think it's possible. I don't know why it could not happen. I think that Papagenos, you got nothing to lose.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
What do you have to lose? All right, bring Daly in. Let him do some stuff for you. All right, don't pay Gronk $2 million. He's not even doing anything right now. He's on the beach with his beautiful wife, girlfriend,
Probably.
somebody, his beautiful partner,
somebody,
with his beautiful self, Edelman. He's with his beautiful Edelman. Oh my God, what a handsome man. Anyways, Papagenos, hit up Daly, give him a chance, give him a shot, one opportunity with your mom's spaghetti, all of it, make it happen.
Papagenos, we're talking to you. Would love to work with you.
That's right. We're gonna make it happen.
That might have to be a clip you sent me.
I will. Oh yeah, absolutely. That'll go up on socials, and then your whole. I'm just gonna sub that in, and then at the end, I'm just gonna have Jerry just eat a whole Papagenos pizza by himself, just in a Papagenos completely empty, and then it's like, do you want to fill this up? Or do you want just a sad man in the corner that's just eating a pizza?
I know numerous like abandoned Papagenos like in the area. Like I see them, and I'm like, there's like vines growing on the building. It's just so sad. It's like a graveyard from like old memories. It's like really sad to see.
Just one old dude named Earl just still mopping the floors with nobody in there.
It's so sad.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Earl. But yeah, no, that's a good answer. I love that, and I really hope that you have the opportunity to.
Imagine,
because once it happens, we're gonna manifest it. Once it happens, we're gonna call back to this. We're going to be like, hey, you remember that time that we were talking about you working with Papagenos and reviving them? And then they're going to be, multi-billions and billions of dollar company at the hands of Daly. And then that's just going to kickstart everything.
That'd be so cool.
People are going to be paying you $1 million for 3 videos and, not however much.
That'd be the coolest thing. And I feel like it's possible. All it takes is like, I've gotten the attention of like Dunkin' Donuts a bunch of times. It just takes like 50 people tagging Papagenos or Dunks, and then all of a sudden you get a DM and they're explaining themselves or sending you a box. And if they see passion and they see like an opportunity at a low cost to like at least take a small risk, why the hell wouldn't you take a risk? You guys are failing,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna take that clip. I'm going to put it on the socials. I'm going to make it into a collaborative post. Can you do more than 2 people now?
You can do like 4, I think.
I'm going to invite Papagenos. I'm going to invite you, and I'm going to invite Papagenos. And they're going to get a notification for it, and somebody has to see it. That's my goal. That's my goal.
That's a great idea.
Is for you to work with them.
That's so cool.
I really need that to happen.
The sad truth of like Papagenos is like they probably are run by like an agency that runs like a bunch of like Dunks and yada. But like, so whoever would see that is probably someone at the agency that's gonna be like, oh shit, we don't want to lose this client. But like, there's a way. There's definitely a way. Like, let's do that. I'm gonna like that's gonna be a whole campaign. Like, tag Papagenos in this video. That's a great idea.
We can come up with like a side thing, and then you could just build that into like a little series of like, you know, just getting until you work for Papagenos, and then you keep making like continuous ads or continuous like little social things. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think
and then
there's something there.
It's something that people can follow until you actually get there, and then in however many, you know, and then at some point they're going to be like, oh, that could be a part of your marketing pitch to them too. Be like, you know, how many eyes have already been brought up about me working with you, and then by us actually working together, that's going to get so much publicity and it's going to blow up and all that stuff. I think that would be great.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's a cool idea.
Hell yeah. So I love that this just became a Papagenos podcast. Papagenos podcast. So Gerry, that was a great question that I think just built up into something a lot more than we expected it to. So into Daly being the CEO of Papagenos one day. Yes. So for other questions, though, something that we did and that I had you do was actually reach out on social media and make a post to have people see what they wanted to ask you for questions on kind of like an AMA situation through a story. And you have some of those on your phone that you want to share with us.
Yeah, we got a few brutal ones, but we got there's some decent ones too.
Okay.
So some of these are oddly specific. All right. So I'll start with the one I did 2 different posts. One of them I did last night, and one of them I did here in the studio when I got here because a few of these questions were kind of shit. First one, are you into women?
Oh.
And the answer is yes.
That's nice.
The answer is yes. And then the next one
Even
from
if
the
you
very
weren't, that's
same
okay.
person, they said, laughing face, fucking with you on that last one, and they spelt one, O-N-R. So they probably posted that, realized that they crossed the line potentially, even though they didn't.
Now, do you know this person or no?
No, never met
well, that's
her.
good.
Never met her.
Oh, okay.
And then the same person, 3 of them, are you looking to settle down soonish, or are you still just a good time?
Oh.
Is that like romantically?
Still just a good time? So is this someone that you may have had relations with?
No, I never met this person.
Okay.
I never met this person. Like zooming in, looks like she has kids.
Are they yours?
No.
Okay. I have. Does she keep asking stuff? Because I have a question.
That's the only. Oh no, there's another one too. 4 questions. Jeez. What's your craziest drunken adventure story? All right, those are the 4 things that she wrote. Crazy drunk adventure. Are you into women? I'm fucking with you. And are you looking to settle down soonish?
So one thing that I'll ask you from there that I'll lead off of, the settling down part. Now, being in the industry that you're in, where, you know, I don't know if you still travel a lot through certain contracts, but just being go, doing all this stuff, how is it like having a relationship?
Oh yeah, it's been a real issue. I've always been like a very trustworthy guy as far as relationships go. Like I never felt like I've been like a shady dude. But yeah, just traveling around and being in a relationship with like the wrong person or the right person, like no partner is ever gonna be like really that cool with their boyfriend going and spending 2 weeks in Barcelona and going out and drinking with their coworkers who are sometimes women and they don't know them. It's been an issue for sure. So the problem is like if that becomes a problem, I quickly realize like I don't have any interest in like changing what I do just to like appease a relationship that may or may not even be a good one. And then I end up like calling it quits most of the time. So yeah, it's been a problem, but it's like what I gained from bailing on relationships once that starts happening is more valuable than being in one that might not even work out.
Yeah.
Like traveling and seeing the world, like I wouldn't take that back to be married to Angelina Jolie. Like, you know, that is
Well, then you automatically have like 17 kids.
True.
So,
yeah, like
Not
hottest
ready to be a
girl
dad.
in the world, like most beautiful, coolest girl in the world. Like would love to like meet someone like that. But if they're not cool with me living the lifestyle I live, I get up and leave. You know, like I'll like it gets cold around here. If you get a blizzard in Boston, there's a great chance I'm getting on a flight one way to LA, staying at my buddy Iman's house on Venice Beach, and just working remote from there for months, like, and it's hard for me to like explain that to a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely been a problem. That's for sure.
I bet. I feel like that's tough. But good for you though, for especially being in those situations and like being aware of that stuff early, because sometimes, you're not, or you try to make it work and then it just ends up prolonging stuff.
Totally. Yeah. I've been deemed as an asshole before because I've like ended relationships, and it's like there's three sides to every story: their side, your side, and the truth. And the truth is, and my side is, I try to keep it as like real as possible. If I'm vibing with the girl, I'll let them know. And then later that'll be deemed as love bombing, even though that word never comes out of my mouth. And then I'll like end things. I'm like, I just don't really know if you want to be dating a guy like me, because of the way I operate and I move around. And I'm going to these like events through like the Purely Boston page where we're out drinking, and I'm just always doing something. Then I'm always out skating. Like, I don't even really have time for a relationship. And then when I get home, I don't really even want to be around anyone. I just want to play video games with my roommate and chill and not really think about anything else. So at this point, like, not looking for a girlfriend. And I'm pretty much content with that at this moment.
Nice.
Unless there's a girl out there watching that is cool with me going out skateboarding, going to these events where there's drunk girls jumping around, we're filming it, and the option of me leaving for 3 months at a time to get away from cold weather. So if you're out there, would love to meet you.
So this has really become a dating podcast.
It has.
That is our goal. We want everybody who comes through here that's single to get synced up. So we want to.
41st Casanova Connections.
Oh, love that. Love that.
Yeah, so you are the newest addition to that. So, as you heard, if you're interested, then you can hit up his Instagram. And don't go through Purely Boston, though, because he likes to keep that professional.
Yeah.
So
plus my counterpart will probably see it and slide and
exactly, yeah. He'll take them from you. Yeah, because plus he's jacked.
He is.
He's jacked. He could bench press me.
Yeah,
I'd let him. But yeah, no, that's I'm glad that you answered that. It's funny because that was actually one of the questions that I had on my thing that I didn't ask.
Oh, really?
On my list, yeah, it was about relationships.
Oh, no way.
I'm always curious about people like in our industry and how they navigate relationships, because there's a handful of people where they are single because not a lot of people can keep up with the lifestyle or how the workflow is, or being in those situations. So it takes a real one, if you will.
You know what the real problem is with what I do in traveling is that, like, when I travel, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
And the girls that I date just can't accept that I'm also working. So, for instance, I went on a Red Bull shoot to Austin City Limits one year. I was there for 5 days, ended up at some after party at Willie Nelson's house where I got this tattoo in his kitchen. True story. Having a great time. I'm partying. I'm obviously posting about it on my social media, Instagram stories, stuff like that. And then girlfriends will see that, and then they'll either like throw like a shady comment towards me, and then that's when it starts. And then it turns into like, well, like, what are you just going out there like partying the whole time? I'm like, yeah. But I'm also working.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna like sit back and not go have a great time with my friends just because like you're not able to come. Like, it's still fun. It's still cool. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not like banging girls behind your back. Like, I never was that kind of guy. I never will be. It's like you're kind of like feel like you're born that way in a strange way. So it's the fact that when I'm traveling, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm bragging about it online, and then people get pissed off.
Yeah, that's always a them issue. That's never going to be a you issue. Mm-hmm. So I would never change how you are or who you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we can also say that you're a good guy. I've known you long enough to know that you're a good dude, and whenever somebody is ready to be okay with how that is, and and love you for you, and have their own shit together, that'll happen.
Very true, but not looking for anybody. So pump the brakes, all you DMers over there.
That's right.
But I mean, when I'm locked down in Boston, sure, I'll like meet girls and have a good time. But then I leave, and then they're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I told you. This is how I live."
Yeah, that's how I live. This is my life. Yeah. So, are there any other great questions that people have asked?
There's a few.
I know that she said something too about the party thing. I don't know if you want to answer that or if you want to go on to another one. Because that's
crazy drunk adventure. I feel like that's like that. Nothing even really comes to mind. Like,
because you were drunk.
There's just too many. There's too many of them. I mean, it's like I don't even crazy. It's so vague. Like I like to go out and drink and have a great time. skipping that one.
Yeah, that's
and then I'll talk about me getting arrested or some shit, and then I will regret saying it. Favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor by Justice Edinburgh.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mentioned Ben and
I
Jerry's.
meant to
a
ask
minute
you
ago.
that earlier when you mentioned Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, really?
I meant to ask you the flavor, yeah, and then it segued to Papagino's. We were talking about the brand. But yeah, that's a good question.
Oh man, that's like honestly a tough one though. I always switch it up. Every flavor at Ben and Jerry's is so intriguing looking because of the branding. Like their designs are so good. I mean, I like Americone Dream. That one's really good.
Yep.
I don't like Half Baked. That's the worst one in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't like brownies. I don't know why.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Americone Dream and an honorable mention to fish food.
That's one of Kim's favorites. She loves
Fish
fish
food?
food, yeah. Because they have all the vegan flavors now, which is great.
I love that. I was vegan
Yeah.
for a while too,
Yeah,
back
yeah.
a couple of years ago.
I remember. Yeah, we used to talk a lot about it.
Yeah. Oh, vegan ice cream's
Yeah.
the best. Like the coconut, the way they use like the coconut milk instead, it works so well.
Yeah, I think they do alternatives for like they do oat and almond. They might do coconut as well. But yeah, I like that they have options because they have like the vegan cherry Garcia is awesome.
That is a good
That's one
one.
of my
That's the best
favorites.
vegan one. Like out of the vegan options, the cherry Garcia one is like I'll get that still to this day. I love
Yeah.
how that one tastes. It's so smooth.
That one's good. And then the other one with the was it Change the World, the Colin Kaepernick one?
No, I don't know. They did a
Yeah.
collab with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, it's actually
That's
pretty,
ballsy. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Ben and Jerry's, right? So it's like they will do that.
I
stuff.
love that Ben and Jerry's
Yeah.
does that. Like they're so politically active and they're a huge brand and they're
No,
not
you don't
afraid
see
to
that
take
often.
risks.
Yeah, you don't see that often. A lot of companies are afraid to do that.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's very liberal.
Very liberal.
And that's
Yes.
like
That's true.
it is. I like them. I met them once with Enver. I'll talk to you off.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that one.
yeah. We'll talk. What's your favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor?
I try to stay away from Ben and Jerry's because if I eat a lot of ice cream, I have to not drink a lot of beer. So I like to drink a lot of like this physique doesn't hold itself. It's
That's true.
It's a fine balance.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's ice cream intake versus beer. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
But
You need to figure
I
out-
do like.
You need to make a beer.
I
flavor
actually
ice cream.
didn't hate Half Baked from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
That was pretty good. Americone Dream. Yeah, that one was good too. But
I know you're a spicy flavor guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben and Jerry's has one, but there's a ice cream chain called Lizzie's. Have you ever been there?
I've heard of that. Yeah, my wife was actually just talking about that the other day. They have like a spice.
Like a habanero mango
Yeah,
ice cream.
Yeah,
Crazy spicy.
really, you've tried it?
I have. It was like it was an issue for a good couple hours. Like, and all I had was like the taster, like the little small spoon they give you when you
Yeah.
got like to a shop or whatever.
Yeah.
That stuff is spicy. I'd be curious to see you try that.
I would.
So the
we'll have
fact that
on
it's
the
ice
next
cream, it
podcast.
doesn't like cancel out the spiciness at all because
It lingers,
of the-
baby.
Really nice.
Yeah.
She was telling me that there's like a Thanksgiving flavor as well or something like that, and they have like a bunch of weird flavors.
They're cool. That Lizzie's is a cool brand. They got one in Harvard Square. They got one in Waltham on Moody Street. I think still. You gotta try the spicy one,
I will.
man. Get back
Yeah.
to me on that.
I will.
Next, we'll have that in a future podcast.
Yeah.
Of you eating that.
I'm down.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was a good question. Let me some Ben and Jerry's.
And like otherwise,
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's is great, but then it's
Oh,
what's my favorite MBTA line in Boston? That's like a funny, I guess, question. It's a quick one. I'm going to go Orange Line because it caught on fire last year and they redid it completely. So Orange Line.
I haven't been on there in a minute.
The Orange Line?
Or any of the lines, yeah.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think the last one was maybe the Green Line again, just for nostalgic reasons.
Oh, sure,
I think
yeah.
we went right near, the old stomping grounds, and then went to Fenway or something. But yeah, Orange Line, is it like souped up now?
Yeah, they redid it. Do you remember when they caught on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people are jumping off the bridge, and it was a whole ass thing. I would take the Orange Line, or I didn't do it as much as I should have, but the Orange Line dropped right off at Puma headquarters in Assembly Square.
Got it. Yep.
So the week I started, I tried to take the train like the first week, just I'm like, I should probably not drive my truck in every day.
Yeah.
And it's like 30-minute drive. So I'm like, I can take the train. Get on there. I'm like, wow, the Orange Line is shit. It's a dump. It smells like piss. And then that week I started at Puma. That's when the fire took place. So they redid a couple of the trains, and then they kind of revamped it. They had a whole like revamp of the Orange Line. So Orange Line is my favorite.
Nice. And just to make sure, was anybody hurt in that?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, good. I just have to ask before saying this. So pretty much you manifested that fire. You were like, this line is shit. It needs to be better. And then the
Now,
universe was like, okay.
Did he manifest it or did he light it?
He may have lit it. He may have lit it. In case they never got the solution on that, you have it now.
Yes.
Don't be listening to this part, Papaginos.
So
Do
what
not
line are
be
you lighting
listening
on
to this
fire
one.
next?
Yeah. Which
Red line,
I think
probably?
the silver line needs something new. Nobody really knows what's going on with the silver line. What even is it? It's a bus? Like, what's up with that silver line? Yeah, bus. Silver line, you're next.
we're gonna see a video coming out soon from Purely Boston, being like, rate the lines. Yeah, rate the lines on the T on which one's the best to worst. That'll be
orange line
there.
number 1. Purple line's good too because you can get all the way to the South Shore.
Nice. Yeah, not a big line guy. You know, didn't do a lot of coke. Didn't do any coke. So any other questions?
The last one, somebody asked if I could smoke cigarettes in here.
If you can smoke cigarettes in the studio, that's a negative.
Is that
No.
you trying to ask
yeah,
us
is that
right
you
now?
trying to
I
ask
swear,
us?
it's there.
Who asked that?
My buddy Joe Dirt.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah, Joe Dirt asked. He's obviously chirping.
That's funny.
Can you smoke? He said, "Can you smoke butts in there?"
Nice.
No, you cannot smoke butts in here. Cigarette-free zone. You can like smoking butts in here. The whole couch. It smells great in here. We can't have it smell like butts.
That's right. That's right. Other than that, sweet ass. Speaking of smoking butts, did you run 5K or some marathon? What did you run? Or was it just for like a bit where you were like you had a cigarette?
Oh yeah, that was the Falmouth Road Race last year.
Yeah.
It was kind of just random. So I do the Falmouth Road Race every year. It's like 7 miles. It's like a 10K, a little more than 10K.
Yep.
I've done it I think the 5th time I did it was this past summer. It's just a great race. They treat it like a marathon. It's just so cool. It's a great experience.
Yep.
So I did it last summer and I was wearing like a Budweiser shirt.
Yeah.
Had a bandana. Looked like a total douchebag.
Yeah.
And I ran
put
it
a
like
photo up.
Yeah. Those exist. So I'm running it looking like a goon. And me and my cousin Dan, who's more of a low key dude,
Yeah.
we ended up, they break it into fourths of like when you start the race. So not everyone's just like jamming in there and tripping over each other. And there's probably like over 10,000 people who run this race.
Okay.
So they break it up into fourths. So, you know,
Yep.
X amount of people go, X amount of people go. So we're walking up to go and they happen to cut the line off right where we were. So we were in the front like of the starting line.
Gotcha.
On the news. Nesson's there. We're like in the front. Guy shot the gun. I was like, we were right in the front. I was in my element. I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, this is sick. So I sprinted the first mile.
Yeah.
I ran the first mile in like 5 minutes and 4 seconds.
Nice.
Sprinted it.
Yeah.
And my cousin after goes, dude, when you took off running, it looked like you were running from the cops. Like, that was like, we all were like laughing at you. So I ran it. And then mile 2 probably ran at 8 minutes. And I did not finish the race at my fastest because of that first mile.
Yeah.
But I'm on my last mile and my AirPods or whatever died. And I have like this fanny pack that I run with. Shout out to PB Shore Club for all the greatest running merch in the game. So I have this Shore Club fanny pack and I went to zip it. I wasn't running, zip it. And I saw a cigarette, like a lonely cigarette just sitting in there. And like I was in the process of quitting butts.
Yeah.
So that was my last cigarette I ever smoked. This is something funny that nobody really knows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was in there. I was on my last mile and I just put it in my mouth and I'm running and I'm getting the dirtiest looks.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Bud Heavy shirt. I have a cigarette hanging out of my mouth, fast shades and a bandana. And I crossed the finish line in like one of the photos that you could just see it clear as day, me smoking a butt. And I smoked it, lit that cigarette, and I'm like, I think that's just like the only way to quit cigarettes. Like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep giving myself excuses to jump back in them.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no cigarette more epic than this one. I'm done. And I haven't smoked a cigarette since. I haven't bought a pack of butts since. Like, that was the last cigarette I smoked.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. That's hilarious. I had no idea that was your last one.
Yeah.
I just remember that being such an epic photo. When I saw it, I was like, fucking Daly.
Yeah.
Like that's literally it. There's so many things that I see where that's my reaction, but
Yeah.
like in the best of ways, where I'm always like, fucking this guy.
Yep.
Like I love it. I love
I'm
it.
sure a
Makes
lot of
me
people
wish-
think that same thing.
It makes me wish I quit in a different way.
I know,
I
yeah.
feel like I have to smoke one more cigarette now. And like,
Just so you can quit again.
shoot somebody in the leg or something. I don't know.
I would just like find an excuse to smoke one, and if I'm outside of a bar and I'm like, I haven't smoked one in a couple of weeks, I'm like, I'm smoking one.
Yeah.
And then like anything, like it always is like me quitting, and then like the next thing you know somebody rolls a spliff or something with tobacco in it, then I'm smoking that, and the next thing I'm buying butts again, and then like I got really bad with them for a while. I was smoking like almost I smoked up to a pack a day, and then I was like buying a second pack in the day, and then I'm like I need to start stop. And that was around the time I was running that race. So keep in mind, I'm running these freaking 7-mile races, smoking a pack a day.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was possible, but like
Wicked fast.
Yeah, I guess so. And then, I was just like, this is the perfect time to quit. That was it. That's how I quit.
That's great. One of the things that we like to do also, other than visualize you in the nude, no, but one of the things that we like to do to wrap up our podcast is 2 things. One, if there's anything else that you want to mention or that, is on, we don't know when this is coming out, so it's tough to promote it.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to mention that you did not during this podcast, you have the floor. And then secondly, if there's anything question-wise, even for us, because I know that we know each other and all that stuff, but if there's anything, we always like to leave the floor open.
All right. Well, I'll start with you guys. After spending this time shooting the shit, I mean, I've known you for so long. It's always the same vibe. It's always the same feel whenever I see you. And Gerry, like I said earlier, I see you on Instagram. I want to get you guys to have a segment on the Purely Boston channel, and I think it would be like a really cool thing. You guys are so good on camera. You're goofing around yourselves. So I want to just say that as my statement that I didn't really get to say on camera. I'd love to have you guys somehow involved. Such characters, such good energy. And I guess the only question I have is like, I feel like this is like a loaded gun of a question, but like, what was like when I came into the studio the first time, I was like pretty blown away. I remember like working with you a bunch, and like it was always like slightly higher production value than working with like the next guy. That's always what I like imagined when you'd be on set. Like if somebody's filming a music video or whatever it would be back then, like you were always the guy that would have like a Ronin or a Movi before I would see one of those on set. Like what was the jump the shark moment when you got this spot? Because this place is incredible.
When we got the spot itself, or like just the leap to like doing the production stuff,
the whole production, like what was the boom? Like when did that happen?
So that's a great question. I don't get to talk about it too often. For me, I remember that I was working at TJ Maxx, right? The good old Maxinista. And I was there for 6 years, 2 months. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was still doing this on the side, right? It was right after we graduated college. It was 2014, and it was in May of 2014 that we graduated. And then later that year, in October of that year, I remember I had 2 gigs that were coming up, and it was the Boston Comedy Festival. I was going to have like 5 or 6 days straight for the gig, and it was maybe the equivalent to half days, but it was like a 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then I had to go home. I had to edit all of the bits and stuff and then have them out by the next day. I'd go to bed at like 3 a.m. I'd wake up the next day, do the same thing. Did that for like 6 days straight. That was like my first big gig. And then I got another one at the time for like a documentary. And I looked at what I was going to be making on just the Boston Comedy Festival financially, because I've been teetering with going full time doing this production wise. And I looked at it and I was like, what I'm going to be making for these 6 days of work would take me 2.5 months at TJ Maxx to make. And then what I'm making for the documentary would take me a little over a month to a month and a half to make. So I was like, I have 3 to 4 months where if I don't get anything, then like all my bills are paid and like I'm good. So I have 4 months as like a bumper to like make that leap. And I know me, so I was like, I know that I'm not going to not get work. I'm going to create the opportunities for myself and make sure that, that there's consistent income there and stuff. And so I made the leap only after the Boston Comedy Festival, as I remember that each day, as I said, this was my first time having a gig like this, where it was like, day after day after day after day after day, long days, like long nights, all that. And then I remember I had to, it was right in Somerville, and I had to park my car down the street, like not too far. And then it was like the 3rd or 4th day, and I had to park it like almost a mile away. It was like half a mile away to 3/4 a mile. And then when we got out that night, this is like day 4, and I'm exhausted. Like I am just done. I'm beat. So I remember walking to the car and it was downpouring, and I have all my gear and I am miserable. And I just had this moment of clarity where it's downpouring. I'm exhausted. 4 days in, I've never done this much before. I'm walking in my car, and I just had this moment where I was like, I would not want to be doing anything else than this right now. As miserable as I am in this moment physically, I wouldn't want to do anything else. And I just remember like smiling. It was weird. I looked like a lunatic going down the street with my equipment. It was raining. And I was like, this is crazy. And I was like, this is it. Right. It's like, I already had the passion. I already had the drive. I already had everything. But that was my like it moment for me, where I was like, I would not want to be doing anything else. Because even in this moment where like physically on the outside, I am just beat. I am miserable. I am so glad that I get to do this. And I'm just so happy. And that was like the big thing. And so then that's kind of what made the leap. And then I put in my 2 weeks, and then the rest was history. And now I've been doing this, yesterday marked 9 years of doing this full time. I didn't even realize that.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yesterday marked 9 years of doing this. And yeah, so that was the big thing from a production standpoint. And then, you know, we met, started working together around that time. Same thing with Dan, and I wouldn't be able to do anything in 41st without those two. I always want to make that clear. Whenever I talk about 41st, it would not be where it is without them. And then for the studio, we made the leap to open a studio when it was around COVID. It was a little after COVID. And no, it was during. During. It was right at the beginning. So we used to actually sublease half of the basement of this place, because this used to be an antique and consignment shop. Really creepy clown that used to be on the sign outside. That's what it was known for around here. And we used to sublease downstairs since 2018. And we had no amenities. There was no heat and AC. There was no bathrooms, nothing. So we were limited on the type of clientele that we could actually have here. So as we were continuing to grow, we were like, we need to upgrade the space. So it was early 2020, and we were like, hey, this is it. Like, our lease is up in June. We got to upgrade. So we were about to, and then the world shut down. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, the world shut down.
I recall that.
Yeah, maybe in passing. Yeah, you were over there taste testing beers and stuff, and I was, crying. But so a year goes by, 2021, same type of year. We were like, hey, we have to make this happen. Lease is up in June. We're paying for a spot that we're not using. We need to upgrade the space so we can bring in more clientele here and create a place that people can rent. That was always our goal, was like create a place that people can come in and create content for themselves. So it's not just us producing it, but other people can come in and create whatever they need. So we were talking to this person in Lowell, and we thought that we had a space. And the guy essentially dicked us around for like 8 months. And then that fell through. And then we thought we found another place. That fell through. And then we were just like defeated. And then I think it was you that mentioned something of like, hey, why don't we talk to the owner of here and see about taking over the whole space and just building it out there to what we have. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. And I think that day after we like went to go see a space that we thought was available, and the guy's like, oh no, we just leased this out the other day. And we're like, thank you for telling us. Thank you for wasting our time. I appreciate it. That same day we ended up coming and then reaching out to the owner, and she said that 2 weeks prior she decided to retire, and that she was going to open up the space, and that we would be the first ones to offer it to.
Perfect.
So that it was perfect timing. So then in 2022, last year, we signed the lease in March. We started renovation in April, on April 1st, 4/1, 41st. Didn't even try to do that. And that was brought to my attention months later.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we had no idea. And then we open at the end of July. We always knew that we needed to have a space that other people could come in and create in, because we just wanted to give that back to, the community and other people like ourselves. So whether, you're in video or photo or a content creator or, an influencer, podcaster, musician, right? Because we have the recording booth. It's just a one-stop shop type of area where you can just come in and just have the freedom to create whatever you want. We've always wanted to be able to do that for other people. And now that we have had the space to do so, it has been extremely rewarding to see, people come in here that this is their first studio that they've ever rented. People that have come in here that have been renting studios for a decade and seeing their reaction to renting the space and like loving it and now making it their new home, right? And like just,
Very cool.
It doesn't matter if you're just starting or if you've been doing it forever. This place really does have like a lot for everyone, and everyone everywhere in between. But I would say, those are a couple of the, points, for a long answer to your question.
That's sick though, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Did I miss anything, Gerry?
Nope.
Okay, good. Yeah. But yeah, so that's that.
Nice, dude. Yeah, you're killing it. So it's evident just looking around here.
No, I appreciate that. And I always appreciate, like your support. I mean, before opening the space, other than like seeing you at a wedding, which I think I may have seen you after we opened, last time that we really saw each other was like a minute ago. It was a while ago.
Oh yeah, between the first time I was here. Yeah.
Even before that. That's what I'm saying. We didn't see each other.
Between the first time I was here and like the time before that was probably like when we graduated college. But I walk in and it's just like, what's up, handsome?
Yeah, it was like nothing changed.
It's the best. I love when that happens.
So being able to have, your support always, and I feel like we've both been each other's cheerleaders in a way. I feel like you've always been rocking with 41st, and we're always like, I always love following your stuff and the team as well. Just everything that you've been doing. I always joke around with Kim that I love living vicariously through Daly and just traveling to all these places that you're traveling to and like just seeing these different, shenanigans that you get into. It's a lot of fun. And just knowing that like it could not have happened to a better person. All of these things that you have done and that you've created for yourself, it really could not have happened for a better person, because you have always been one of the real ones in film school and everything else. You were always yourself. You've always remained yourself, and you've never had an ego. You've never been pretentious. You've never been full of yourself in this type of atmosphere that we can sometimes be in the industry. You will run into a lot of people like that, and you have never been one of those people. And I feel like you've always thought of ways on how you can continue to figure out avenues to be yourself, ways to monetize it, but also ways to entertain and just engage with people. And I feel like that is a gift and something that you have just mastered, and it has been amazing to watch.
Thank you. Wow, thanks for the kind words. Yeah. That's beautiful. Can you write that on my LinkedIn?
I can, yes. I'll have this captioned. I'll send you over the captions for this video. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And, and with that being said, I want to say thank you just so much for doing this and being a part of this and being one of our first guests on here. Again, I'm so happy that it's you. Couldn't have had a better dude.
Thanks. I mean, this is great. I could sit around and shoot the shit with you guys off camera and do the same thing. So it's cool. It was great to be up here. This is a really good spot, and like it's always great seeing you guys. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. And that being said, Gerry, I'll let you take us out because you love to.
Oh, yeah. Well, before we do that, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Social media mostly, I guess. Like Wicked Fast on Instagram, Purely Boston on Instagram. This is the account we're growing. New shirts dropping soon. Wicked Fast. That's me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great. Well, thank you for being a part of our podcast. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Yes.
So now the outro.
Gerry loves to do the outros.
Yeah, the outro. I always forget what I have to say.
Yeah,
do I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you for watching this exciting episode of If I Were to Have a If I Were to Have a Podcast. Already fucking nailed it. All right, from the top. Here we go. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of If I Were to Have a Podcast. I got tongue-tied. That's my problem. I need a sip of our future sponsor here.
The Licky D.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of If I Were to Have a Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe because we're going to be pumping out videos every single week. And yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those down in the comments. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
And tag Papagenos.
And tag Papagenos.
If I were to have a podcast.